Hello and welcome to Mixed Nuts. Today is September 19th, 2015. It is a Saturday and this is episode 1. My name is Matt Leonard. I focus on music in basically anything.
My name's Josh Upton and I'm going to talk about movies.
My name's Chris Catania and I'm going to talk about weird things that nobody probably cares about going on in the news.
My name's Chad DeAngelis and I'm going to talk about anime and manga.
My name's Alessandro Rienderosa, and I'm going to talk about video games. And we're...
Mixed Nuts.
Mixed Nuts?
Mixed nuts.
Alright, so, on today's episode, we're going to be talking about a bunch of weeb boob balls stuff. And, Jace, you're going first with the movies.
I'm going first with the movies. And I'm going to talk about a nice little film that came out a little while ago called Mad Max. And, I'm going to talk about why Mad Max is a great, it's a really great film. I like it a lot, but it's just a little bit overrated. So I'm going to give you two of the scores that are out there. From IMDb, it got a 8.3 out of 10, which if you didn't know, that's like a B. That's pretty dang good from IMDb. And also, it got a 97% from the critics on Rotten Tomato, and also it got an 88% from the audience. Both those scores are shockingly high, and it does deserve it. Mad Max is one of the films from this year which just, I walked into the theater and I was just completely wowed by what I saw, and it was amazing filmography and storytelling and wonderful stuff, and I had a great time watching it. And I say it had wonderful storytelling because it's just kind of like this epic tale you're watching the entire time when you're going through, and it's a great film. And then about a week ago, I watched it again with a family member at home, and I actually this time tried to understand what the plot of this movie was. And I'm gonna just go ahead and say spoilers right now because at this point I really don't care. But this is what happens in Mad Max: a man is captured. He wakes up. He's taken on a little ride out in the desert. He escapes from his capturers, and then he drives a really far distance with these people trying to get to safety, and then at the end of that, no, this is the good part, he turns around and just heads back to where he was captured from, and then the movie ends. And there's stuff in between. You could talk about that being like plot and stuff, but realistically, pretty much nothing happens this entire movie, and it's just a lot of really cool stuff and explosions going on the entire time. And I can't really complain about that, because I really liked this movie, but there is literally nothing going on here plot-wise. And also, the main character, Max, isn't even like the main character of this film, and it's about this group of women who are going along, and that's great too, but generally when you go to a movie titled as the main character, you expect them to speak a good number of lines, and overall Tom Hardy just kind of awkwardly whispers half the things he's saying into the desert winds as if someone's going to hear him. But with the roaring motors and the explosions going on in the background, he's just kind of awkwardly grunting at you. And it's just this very weird spectacle overall. But I still really like the movie. I think that should be said. Does anyone else here have anything they'd like to say about the movie?
I'm going to interject one thing about this film. The war boy who is playing a flaming guitar.
Okay, yeah.
First, explain what a war boy is for the audience.
The war boys are the faction that is that captured Mad
capture
Max.
Max in the beginning, yeah.
They
And
ride
chase
cars.
They ride cars. That's pretty much... They're also
everyone
painted white.
Do they
cars.
ride cars on Fury Road? Is that what they do?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Furiously.
See, I've never seen the movie, so I'm just trying to understand.
You're
There's a
trying
lot
to-
of
yeah.
grunting
There's-
and somebody playing a
there's-
flaming guitar.
To explain it, there is a bunch of people who are under this like warlord, and they all have this this weird religion lifestyle kind of thing going on where they're going to Valhalla after they die. It's very Viking-esque kind of stuff. But they're all just these really skinny, pale guys. But more to the point, as Matt was saying, there is a man on the front of a guitar who is on the front of a car who is playing a guitar at like ridiculously high speeds, and it's on fire, and there's like just this. It's the best thing ever. It's so good. But yes, I have to say things that I really liked about this movie. These videos have been blowing up all over the internet. There's most of the stunts they did in the movie, to a degree, are very real. The one that comes to mind is there's literally
The poles.
The people, yeah, there's these poles that they're driving on cars at very high speeds, and there's people just on these poles which just bend and twist to the right and the left that just go, like, very close to the ground, and they're just, like, trying to grab people from other cars. It's kind of like this giant, like, pole vaulting pole that's just stuck out of the back. It's kind of hard to explain realistically, but essentially...
But it works kind of like in reverse of a pole vault. Instead of, like, planting it into the ground and using it to propel yourself up, you're
descending, grabbing someone and pulling them back up to the car, and
these are all attached to actual moving cars.
It's
because
this stunt was real.
This was something that was originally supposed to be CGI.
100% real in the shots that they have. The only thing they've, like, super altered from those parts is the lighting and the way the area looks, because the desert is, like, much different in coloring, but once you see those shots for real, it's terrifying. And there's also these parts where these bikers are straight up just launching themselves like missiles off this ramp towards a car, like jumping over it like a moving car. And that's not nearly as dangerous as the poles, but when you see it in relation with the flames and the explosions and everything else that's going on there, it's like maddening, because it's just, no one else has done this in movies before, and that's why people love this movie, because they heard about this, and the hype train for this movie just kept building and building and building until we got to the day of release, and it was amazing.
It was more of a hype caravan.
Like hype caravan?
Well, I would say more of a hype car.
Okay.
Well,
With
caravan
one
of
of
cars.
Poles on it.
Reverse pole vaulters.
Okay, I'll interject and ask Josh a question. You said in your review that you talked about how nothing really happens in this movie and how the movie kind of follows someone who isn't the main character. Do you think that this is a problem or something that was intentional and to the benefit of the movie? Or something that's, like, subversive to how Hollywood works? Do you think it was something like that?
One thing that a lot of people have talked about is how they love this movie because it focuses on the women, and it's like a great feminist movie because it's highlighting the women being the people who carry everyone on in this movie, and, like, there's a very strong female lead who, like, just carries these characters through the desert. And I don't have a problem with Max not being the main character, but it's very odd just having, like, Max is this weird, like, tag-along character who's just kind of there, and, like, literally there's one time in the movie where he does something, like, expressly, like, on his own, and, like very much, like, destroys these guys in the desert on his own, and you don't even see it. He just walks into the darkness, and he just comes out, and he's just covered in blood, and it's, like, a wicked cool scene. But for the most part, it's just them, like, driving through the desert and fighting off people as they go, and I don't have any overall problem with that, but it seems very weird, and people just kind of, like, overlooked it and were like, yeah, it's a good aspect to the film, but I think that with the title Mad Max, it should be focused a little bit more on Max, per se. So, to answer your question, I like the film, and I'm okay with that choice.
Wait, now the title of the film is Mad Max. Now, Max is in the film, so quite a few shots. How mad does he actually look?
Asking the important questions
This is an interesting thing, because I talked with people who had watched the films and remembered the earlier ones better than I did.
Have you seen the earlier ones?
I've seen a bit of each of them, not the entire thing, and the title Mad was referring to the fact that he was, like, insane. I always thought it was to do with the fact that he was angry. Like,
Well, it's a bit of both. It kind of changes.
And that's what I didn't get, because in this one, he legitimately is crazy. That is actually a thing he's got going on, and...
So it's mad as in, like, he's gone mad instead
He's
of, like,
mad as in
I'm mad!
I thought because the first one is just about his family dying, and I was like, oh, I presume that he's just a really angry dude. But no, it actually has to do with the fact that he's crazy. Sorry that I mixed that up, but I got here in this film, and I started watching, and with the first couple of minutes, I was like, whoa, what's going on? Because a small child keeps popping up and making these, like, devil scary faces at him, and it's creepy as hell, and I was a little freaked out, honestly, and I didn't know what was going on, but obviously I understood very, very quickly after that was his, like, trait, and he's very quiet throughout the film, but that's not always true of people who are insane like that. I don't know, it's just this weird thing they got going on, because they barely did that in any of the other films in the past, and it's just kind of out of place, honestly, in my general opinion, especially considering nothing at all about his madness is, like, solved. They suggest that he's, like, less crazy by the end, but there's no, like, real big turning moment other than this part where he, like, turns towards the desert. This is right at the part where they decide to turn around. So, ironically, his most insane decision is the one where he's supposed to be grasping his sanity back. I didn't even think about that up until this very moment. Wow, okay. So, I have a small problem with that. Yeah, I'm gonna say I have a small problem with that in the plot. Anyways, anyone else have anything they want to say?
Well, you know the main antagonist of the first Mad Max is the same actor who plays the main antagonist in Fury Road, right?
I had literally no idea. And that makes sense because he's old and decrepit as heck
It's been
now,
like 30
so
something years.
It's been a while.
I'm not sure if it's supposed to be the same character, but I know it's the same actor.
I doubt it's supposed to be the same character. I think he
No, it's
dies
not.
in the
Are
first
these
one.
supposed to be like related in a timeline? Because I've actually never seen any of the Mad Max.
Related in a universe,
Um,
not so much a time.
Okay.
Here's the deal about it. Do you know like characters? Probably the best example is like superheroes, where it's like kind of like different authors' takes on different characters, and it's not
Okay.
necessarily the stories are all interconnected. It's more so like these are stories about this like it's almost like this legendary figure of this Mad Max that went
This
around
is
the
how
desert.
I envisioned this story as opposed to somebody else.
It's like it's more so just like after the fact, like the legends of this dude. Like it's not even necessarily that they took place, but the stories that exist about him.
Okay, so it's more of like a style of like, I guess what I'm
Like
trying
a,
to think,
it's like Greek mythology
Yeah.
kind of thing.
It's
yeah, like
I'd
a
say
story
it's-
that gets passed down for so long that eventually it's going to alter a little bit.
I
Yeah.
think it's
Like,
I think it's
depending on
still
region and everything.
technically within the universe, but I think it could be either a rewriting or a retelling of it now, or they could be starting over from scratch. But one thing that is very clear is that his family is already very dead, and he is already very mad, and that is how things are.
And his name is still Max.
Before I stop talking about this and we move on, there's one thing that really came to mind. I remember a long time ago with my family when I was younger, I watched this movie and it was about like it's about like an apocalypse very similar to this one where everyone is living like in a very sheltered state from what has happened, and now there are literally just like these giant monsters. And there was a part in the movie where they said, we dropped nukes on the monsters, but that didn't do anything, it just made them more angry. And at the very end of the movie, he kills one of them by shooting an arrow through its heart. Now, if you're going to tell me that a nuke does nothing to a monster, but an arrow does, I'm going to say that your movie has no plot, like, whatsoever, and thinking about it is where it gets ruined. And there was a review for this movie on the page that said, this movie is super fun as long as you don't think about it. Mad Max is an amazing film as long as you do not think about the plot very much. And to be honest, with the special effects that are going on that screen, and the cool stunts and everything else that happens, it's not too hard. I'd say that Mad Max is an excellent movie and that everyone should go see it, no matter what kind of person you are, unless you're a hater for some reason of that kind of world. But to be honest, give it a shot anyways. Mad Max is a great movie.
Also, note the soundtrack.
Soundtrack's pretty good.
Mad Max is the Call of Duty of movies. Mad Max is the AC/DC of movies. Don't think about it. Have a good time.
Don't
This
compare it to Call of Duty.
Yeah, don't compare it to Call of
That's
Duty.
a very good way to put it.
I like the AC/DC comparison. It's very much the
AC/DC.
AC/DC.
And they're Australian.
AC/DC is fine. Do not bring flippin' Call of Duty
No,
into this mix.
Call of Duty is just a perfectly fine, fun game if you don't think about it.
Some of them aren't
Until
fun.
you play
Let's be
online,
real.
and then your life is ruined. Because screaming children.
Before we
think
move
about
on
the
from
campaigns.
topics, I want to ask you one question. So, Mad Max Fury Road was really feminist and really awesome because of that. Do you think that now, because we know there's going to be a sequel, it's going to be Tom Hardy, do you think that if they focus more on Max's character, people are going to get pissed off because...
Mad Max 5 Bloodlines.
Stop. Shush.
I thought we agreed we weren't going to talk about Tremors
We're
until
not
the next
talking
one.
about Tremors. We're not talking about Tremors.
We're talking about Mad Max.
We're not.
We're gonna have
Let's
to cut.
keep
We're gonna have to
going.
cut this out. You know that, right? We're gonna totally not leave
You
this
can't
in
do
there
in
at all,
jokes.
and just make in jokes the entire time, because that would be awful.
Keep going.
The subtitle.
If they focus on Max next time, I'm gonna guess they're gonna have another strong character that's gonna go along with him. I'm hoping that next time it's a little bit more about him. I'm not saying that it needs to be all about him every time, but like, it's just kind of like this weird thing where you just have this movie that isn't about him, then people will probably not like that if they do it again in the next one. They want to have variety in these movies. All I think they need is a more well-rounded villain in the next one, because this one is just kind of there and you can't really like him all that much because he hasn't developed a huge amount, in my general opinion. I want because I think of Tom Hardy and I think of Batman, and then I think of because of Bane, and then I think of the Joker because I think of Batman. I just want Tom Hardy in a movie where he's the good guy facing against some really strong villain that's really cool, that has a bit more development like the Joker did in Batman, and then I want it to just be another movie with crazy stunts and just super long desert chase scenes where the bad guy's doing cool stuff this time, and I just want it to be very similar but slightly different. You know what I mean? Again, if you're focusing on the whole strong woman lead thing, I'd love for another strong woman lead in this. I'd love to see her character come back in the film after that or something like that. I'd love to see them do similar stuff. I just think they need to develop the plot and some of the other characters a bit more and focus a bit more on Max.
So what you're asking here in a sequel is you want the same movie,
yes,
except you want to think about it and not have the plot ruined, but you also want bigger, badder, everything
So
else.
Josh,
I
what
want
you saying
everything.
is you want your cake and eating it too.
I want everything from this movie. And you know what? To be honest, with the budget they have, they should be able to do anything.
This movie needs the kitchen sink as well.
This needs the whole kitchen sink dumped right on my lap when I'm watching the movie. I want to literally feel the kitchen sink crack on my lap, just break right there. Just pain. Yes. Anyways, please move on.
All right, moving on. Our next topic, Chad, you wanna?
Yeah, so our next topic is since this is our first episode and everything, I think I'll explain it. It's going to be a hot seat topic. Our hot seat topic is going to be when we pick one of our topics each week. We're going to give it some more time. We're going to go in depth about it, and we're going to have more interaction with everyone else. As you saw in Josh's segment before, it was kind of a big part of him talking and then us jumping in. This will be more everyone from the get-go. There's going to be a lot more opinion sharing, and there's just going to be a lot more time, and it's going to take a little bit longer, but we hope that that's a good part of it. So, what I'm going to be doing is, for those of you who aren't into anime or anything, generally what happens is that every season, there's new anime that comes out. Most anime takes 13 episodes, just starts, ends, airs, that's it. So, we're nearing the end of the last season. So most shows are approaching their 12th or 13th episode, and the new shows are starting to air. So we have the list of shows that's going to be airing in the next few weeks. So we're just going to quickly go over it, do a yay, nay, are you interested, are you not interested, how do you feel about this, kind of pass-fail kind of thing. Just about how interested we are. And so...
We should reply with farting noises if we are completely disinterested, yes.
I'm just going to say no. But you can do what you want.
Yeah.
So, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to read out the name of the show, the studio that's doing it, a little bit of a summary, and we can spend a little bit of time, a lot of time, depends. So, I'll start off first with Aikatsu 4. It's done by Studio Sunrise. It's the 4th season of Aikatsu, and that basically means if you've seen the rest of the seasons, you're going to see this one. So we're going to move on from that one.
What's Aikatsu about?
Not seen any of these seasons, so I'm going to have to go with a no.
Yeah, but
yeah,
Aikatsu is about...
See, Aikatsu 2 had me, because 2 is a really nice number, but Aikatsu 4
Only
is
if
just too much.
Aikatsu
So I'm going to give a no on this
Electric
one.
Boogaloo.
All right, we're gonna ditch this one. Moving on. Brave Beats. They don't have a studio, so that worries me.
That's it.
The story follows Hibiki Kazugurama, a 6th grader who meets an amusing little robot named Buriken while coming home from school one day. Buriken, a dancer from an alternate dimension dance world, challenges the Dance King for the throne and lost. He has been deprived of dance stones, the stones of the dance power, and sent to the human world. To restore his power, him and Hibiki must dance and conquer the world.
Okay.
That went from like 0 to 900 dance really quickly.
Your first problem is that it's about a 6th grader, so I'm going to have about as much connection with that character as, well, actually, I'm going to have 0 connection, so I probably am going to give that one a big
we have something to add in. The dance stones are causing chaos on the human world. To retrieve the dance stones, he fuses with the robot to transform into the dance hero.
Of course. All
I
right.
really
there you
hope
go.
the dance hero is some super ultra mega that does like Ginyu Force poses, like, and yells at people, and then starts dancing so good that the planet literally breaks in half.
I'm gonna just give it a hard pass, considering that
Where did
it
these
doesn't have a
people-
studio animating it, so
Yeah, I'm
it
feeling
might not even air at this point.
Honestly, I want to see this just to see how monstrously bad it is.
Can you do me a favor and count the number of times the word dance was used in that description?
Yeah, do us all a courtesy here.
All right,
Yeah,
let's go.
You can if you want to.
That's at least a good 8, 9, 10 times.
All right, yeah, I'm gonna.
After we
a little too much
crunch
dance.
the numbers, it's going to be about 10, 12 times.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
probably 10 to
gonna
12
give
too
this
many times.
a soft pass because I agree with Chris that it might be so bad that it's good.
I honestly find watching people dance in real life pretty hard. So when you're trying to animate something like that, if it's 2D, it's also just no. It's a
What's
strong
the animation
no.
style even look like?
It's a pretty typical kid show.
That's
Okay, well,
Wow.
it's more kid focused, obviously.
It's not really a targeted at us.
Oh,
but
dude, the
I'm still
dance
gonna pass.
stones,
Yeah.
serious stuff, man. That's
it's actually a commentary on oppressive merchandising in
oh,
society.
I'm sure it is.
I would
Thank you.
say
Moving on,
Yes, next please.
we're gonna give this a soft pass / hard fail.
Yeah.
Okay. Cardfight Vanguard G, Gears Crisis End. It's the second season of the Cardfight Vanguard G series. If you guys don't know what Cardfight Vanguard is, it's basically the new Yu-Gi-Oh! If you don't know what Yu-Gi-Oh! Is, it's a trading card game. If you don't know what a trading card game is, then maybe you should just not watch the show.
Find your local games and hobby shop. Go there on Friday nights between 7 to midnight and watch all the.
You will smell
people
fries
play,
and
yeah.
burgers if you are in the right place.
You're gonna see a lot of people yelling at each other and a lot of sweaty people
Anyway,
sweating.
You
and
probably
breaking
need to
chairs.
also crawl out of the protoplasm or whatever rock you've been living under because card games are a thing and a lot of people like them. And anyways, what is actually going on in this show? Because last time I watched Yu-Gi-Oh! The TV show, I was very young.
Well, this is completely unrelated to Yu-Gi-Oh! It's more so just related in that it's a card game that has a show with characters and a plot. That's pretty much where the similarities end. Otherwise, this is more like...
So there's no Shadow Realm in this one.
No, it's a lot less dark in that aspect.
Then what's the point?
So
I'm
there's a light realm?
already gonna go with a hard fail in my book because if you lose, you don't get sent to the Shadow Realm. So like, where's the real danger here?
Here's the point, Chris. The point is to have a show that markets the card game to kids to exploit them and get their parents to.
Yeah, but there's no Shadow Realm.
How many family members of the main character die within the first 3 episodes?
I'm gonna give
That's
you.
what I'm gonna gauge
I'm gonna
this.
give you a hard "what is death" and move on from that question.
say goodbye to Exodia, kids. Wait, what? Oh, God, what is it? Is it one of the ones where it's like Pokemon, where they're already like there and they're just like capturing them, or is it like Yu-Gi-Oh, where they have the cards and they put them down and they come to life, or is it just?
Oh yeah, they already have the cards. They have their decks. They're just going against each other.
But
for
is
plot reasons.
what I want to know is like, do they put the card down and then like something spooky comes out of the card, like Yu-Gi-Oh, or is
Yeah.
it literally just a bunch
Yes.
of sweaty kids in a room just putting cards down? And
I would
going,
watch that
"Oh,
show.
No. It's visualized. They play the cards. They come into real life for the time being.
Okay.
Materialize out of.
So
the
there
ether,
is some
to
sort
speak.
of like dual disc mechanic, like that was practiced in Yu-Gi-Oh, where the hologram of a creature.
Yeah, they basically just break the energy laws of the universe and just create this being out of nothing.
Good.
So
I'm glad
yeah.
we're starting to get there. Also, you know what we really need? We need a show that's just about a bunch of really weird kids playing Risk. Just like in a room, just quietly. The same game every time that everyone knows how to play. There's just a bunch of kids and they play Risk. Matt, you've been rather quiet. What do you think about card game promotional shows? What do you give that on a scale of 1 to yes?
I believe in the heart of the cards.
Okay.
Excellent.
I
we're
believe
gonna
in the
give
heart
this
of the
one-
cards.
We're gonna give this one a soft pass if you like card games and you
Especially
like
with
Yu-Gi-Oh.
Card Vanguard.
Yeah, you
the
like
card
Yu-Gi-Oh. You've seen the past seasons. Otherwise, we're probably just gonna fail.
Now Joey's sister is not blind in this one. Apparently, is what I'm hearing.
Okay. Let's move on to our next show, Comet Lucifer, done by Studio 8-Bit, which has been on a bit of a roll lately, so that's a good thing. The story takes place on the planet Gift, where precious crystals called Gift Gem are buried in the earth. A young man named Sogo lives in Garden Indigo, a prosperous mining town. Sogo's hobby is to collect rare crystals. One day, he gets wrapped up in a riot caused by his classmate Callan, Roman, and Otto. and he loses his way until he finds, deep under the ground's mining ruins, a lake. There he meets a mysterious girl with blue hair and red eyes that gaze straight ahead. The story follows the adventure of what happens after this meeting. So, to start off, I'm going to say, sounds very generic.
There's literally a manic pixie girl.
Sounds
literally.
Sounds basically just like we introduce like our stereotypical 4 main characters, and then the one who has something going on. So I'm going to give this a hard pass, purely just because it seems so generic that I can't imagine just giving it any reason to watch it.
It sounds a little rough.
It sounds literally like, hi, it sounds like someone literally just, it's exactly what you said. It's like just that generic, like, look, I found something, and then this causes conflict, and then it's literally, that's all it is. Even the description, she has blue hair and red eyes. I've met people who have blue hair, and I bet they could put in some red-eyed contact, but that doesn't mean I'm going to want to talk to them. This sounds really
moving
weird.
on.
Wait, Chris has something to say.
Okay.
Oh no, I was saying that, ooh, I had blue hair. Ooh, I could put in red contacts. Maybe I have something going on.
You should hide in an underground
Yeah, maybe
lake
we're
and
all
be
starring in your
mysterious.
anime.
Maybe you are the conflict here.
Actually, I am convinced, this is a topic for another day, but briefly, I am convinced that my life is actually just a movie and you're all figments of my imagination. Anyways, continue.
Okay, hot seat topic for another day. Anyway, to move on. Concrete Revolutio, not Revolution, Revolutio, Shojin Genso. By Studio Bones, who has also been on a bit of a roll lately. The stage is set, and I quote, in quotation marks, another Japan. So not this Japan, but another Japan. As a banquet of diverse superhumans unfolds. In an imaginary age of gods, about 20 years after the war, Japan has grown and developed by leaps and bounds. What if all the superheroes ever written about in fictional stories existed at the same time? Superheroes who came into existence through different, circumstances, who are special in different ways, titans from outer space, life forms from a mystical world, phantoms and goblins from ancient times, cyborgs created by scientists, relics that rose out of the ruins of ancient civilizations, and the list goes on. One segment of these superheroes makes no secret of their existence as has gained popularity in society. Others cloak their identities and fight in secrecy. They're enemies of superhumans as well, organizations that operate in the shadows. The Japanese government has taken many measures to secure peace and order. One is the establishment of an organization under the Ministry of Health and Welfare, the Overpopulation Research Laboratory, also known as the Superhuman Bureau. Their mission is to identify and approach superhumans, then oversee and safeguard them. One member of the Superhuman Bureau, Jiro Hitoyashi, is protagonist of this series. Now that was a lot in a very short period of time, but the basis of this I'm getting is in like a, almost like Incredibles-like way. The Disney movie Incredibles, superheroes kind of just appear out of nowhere, and then it's the difficulty of having like real-life superheroes and dealing with them. But this sounds less concrete than in like the Incredibles, when things kind of went bad and they just banned them all, where it's like they're kind of trying to tread the line. So this could actually be
That sounds pretty good.
kind of
It
interesting.
sounds kind of
To
like
be
the
honest.
beginning of like Marvel Civil
Civil
War
War.
in a way.
Yeah.
Of that, like, it's already split between two huge factions, and then there's sub factions underneath.
I'm gonna be honest, that sounds like a plot that has a lot of things that could go on and it wouldn't completely suck. So I'm totally gonna give that one a go ahead.
Okay.
I am
So
for
it's
this anime.
Let's give it,
I'm gonna have to say it's getting to go from me.
okay, let's give it a few episodes.
Yeah, I'm
I'd
down to try.
I'd say that sounds like a winner in
Okay.
my book, honestly, overall, yeah.
Next one, Dance with Devils by Brainspace.
Oh, God.
I already
This
enjoy
is-
where this one's
The
going.
story revolves around Rika Tachibana, a female second-year high school student who attends Shiko Academy in Shiko Town. She enjoyed her school life while living with her mother Maria, but one day that balance fell into ruin. The anime is a story of Rika being loved and being attracted to demons.
I was like waiting. I was waiting so much for you to just be like, and then there's more plot, but that's literally just no. She's just attracted to demons.
I like that's the end of the description, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's okay. Wow.
I have a problem whenever it starts out. I mean, I know a lot of shows are just like, here's a high schooler. It's just like, oh, they anime has this weird thing going on where they just love doing high schoolers. I don't know why. Everyone, they love the whole uniform thing going on, but to like just, oh, she thinks it's a sexy demon. Ooh, I mean, like, come on.
Well, I mean, this is a shoujo show, so it's obviously marketed at girls under the age of 20, kind of to mid 25. So it's your typical show, your anime show, where there's one girl and there's a lot of mysterious men that she's somehow feels an attraction towards all of them and just simply can't decide. So that's just very boring to me, and I'm uninterested.
Yep,
so I'm just gonna give it a soft pass.
Now wait.
It could be good if it's your cup of tea,
Give it a
but
strong
I mean,
pass.
I have a
one thing about
question.
shoujo is it can be done really well. This does not sound like it's done really well.
no, this sounds very fan servicey.
Is this
Not
is
great.
this done by a studio that will allow the animation of nipples and things?
No.
No.
Why is that?
Because that would make a huge defining point that it could be marketed as a very heavily fan serviced anime
it
with a
sounds
very
like,
specific
it sounds like
audience.
it's a bunch of guys going after one girl. It
It's-
sounds
yeah.
like
I-
one of
no,
those shows
actually,
where it's like The Bachelor or whatever. No, what's the reverse of The Bachelor? I don't
The
know.
Bachelorette.
I get
Yeah.
I don't think that's what the
It's
title is.
definitely The Bachelorette.
It's
It
The
definitely is the
It's the
Bachelorette.
Bachelorette.
Okay, well, thank you for crushing my soul in front of people.
Maybe I
Bachelorette,
misunderstood.
that show, that's literally what I believe it is, and I think it's just all of them just being like, no, you're the best for me, and then they all just like run after her, and she's like, yeah,
With their
we're
demon
all,
wings.
you're all demons, but I'm strangely attracted
I mean,
to
a
you.
quick
so
note for me before we move on is that it is done by Studio Brainspace, which has kind of nailed the whole shoujo thing for like the past few years. So, if this is your cup of tea, it's probably going to be a good one. But otherwise, to the general public, it's not going to be that great. Moving on. Diabolic Lovers, More Blood. The second season of Diabolic Lovers. Basically the same thing as before, and that's not the description, that's just me talking. Komori Yui is still adapting to the life with the sadistic Sakamaki vampire brothers. How will her relationship fare between them throughout the rest of her time in high school? This is done by Studio Zexus. I'm just gonna quickly explain the plot of the previous season of Diabolic Lovers. Girl goes to school. Girl gets trapped in school by this clan of vampire brothers. She proceeds to literally be like held captive, like against her will. And then this like Stockholm scenario like situation occurs like near the end of the series where they're just like, oh, okay, I mean you can go if you want, and they like literally just like take her to the door, and she's just like, I don't know why, but I want to stay. And then they just continue to just hold her captive and like basically emotionally abuse the heck out of her. Like,
So
it's
what
kinda
I'm
awful.
So what I'm hearing is she bought an Xbox One.
Yes.
I mean, if the Xbox One is 5 skinny vampire.
No, she
buddies,
bought an Xbox One with the Kinect.
Ah, okay.
Is what happened here.
Is this like an actual school that she's like attending? or is this like...
No, this is vampire school with these vampire brothers. It's more prison, to be honest.
So what
Prison
you're saying
school.
is a prison school.
I mean, that would be a
Another topic which
no,
should
that would be
thoroughly
disgracing the name.
Thoroughly.
That would be disgracing the name of prison school.
I'm
So
gonna
we're
give
gonna
this
move
one.
on.
I'm gonna give this one a pass.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
give
assume
it
it's the same thing as the first season, but just with more blood, as the title suggests.
maybe even less depending on what's going on.
So
It
if
sounds
you
pretty
like
dumb.
being pandered to with your pretty vampire boys, maybe watch the first season and then watch this season. But
You like
otherwise,
Twilight
should
and you
move
like
on.
anime? Watch this.
That
okay.
sounds pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
Next we have Gakusen Toshi Asterix by A1 Pictures.
What does the asterisk stand for?
No, that's the title.
Oh.
Yeah, what's the footnote here?
In the previous century, humanity was attacked by an unprecedented disaster, the impact in Bertia. The whole world was destroyed. However, humans acquired a new potential, the Genus Stella. That's it. I'm just gonna say that the
A new potential? What?
yeah, I don't.
That's incredibly vague.
I don't know.
A new potato?
The genres listed are action, fantasy, school, sci-fi, shonen. Shonen, for those who don't know, is shows aimed at pretty much anyone under their mid-25s. That's male. And ecchi. And ecchi is the fan servicey one, where there's going to be a lot of kind of boobs and female characters in compromising positions, so...
Okay, well, see,
pandering to their audience.
Can you read the description because it was really short one more time? Because no, sorry, it was just a new potential. That was the line.
Yeah.
I was having a little bit of trouble.
A new potential, the Genus Stella. That's it.
Guess what? We all have a lot of potential as kids, but when the Earth is blown up, there's not too much you can do. So maybe potential is supposed to be something else, like a a ship that they're on or something now, but like that was the worst description you could have given for a show to get me interested.
Are you positive that's the end of the description, or is there more?
That's the end of the description. You
Well,
can
maybe
see
that's
it.
why there's.
yeah, that is
Let me-
literally the yeah.
That's right there.
So-
That's the end of it.
How hard are you gonna fail this one? You're gonna give it a
So
give it a hard
all I have
fail?
to say is they have 6 genres for this anime. That is at least 3 too many for me.
Now, because it's a shonen, does that mean it's gonna run forever like One Piece?
No. This is gonna run. Well, it doesn't have the episodes list. I'm guessing it's gonna run either 13 or 26. Shonen does not necessarily mean long running. It's just merely so the demographic they're targeting.
Okay, I understand.
See, I'm gonna give this one a hard pass / fail because I think that given how long that description is, we need to know what that asterisk stands for. Because I feel like there's some key information in there.
I want to know what this new potential is, because apparently, like Josh said, there's just not enough potential to go around.
There's just potential.
Okay.
That's all we need.
I'm interested
Whatever.
only because they were very vague.
Okay, we're gonna give it a soft pass / maybe try an episode. But otherwise,
If I hear
probably
about it, I'll
pass.
check it out.
I literally just want to open it up and just see what the hell the potential means, and then after that, I'm good. I just want to what is your potential? Like, what do you got?
What if
going
it's
on?
just the potential of friendship?
And that's what's keeping them alive, even
Yeah.
though they're all dead? Yeah,
Right.
sure, go
Potential
for it.
energy.
All right.
Next
Next up, we have Garo Gurinosuke, produced by Studio Mappa, which I know is a favorite in the room, and
What else have they produced? I don't know any studios. I'm sorry, but what is something
They know
else they
one,
produced?
and I hate it.
they did the other Garo series. They did Zankyo no Terror. They did what's the name of the show?
Thank you.
Shingeki no Bahamut. They did Punchline.
I don't know any of these shows. All right, continue.
They do some really quality stuff.
They generally Mappa's known for doing shows that are not the greatest, but not bad. Just kind of good. You know, just soft pass kind of thing. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like, you'll watch it week to week, and you'll be like, okay, no real reason to drop this, no real reason to stop watching. Not the best, but
It's enough to keep the studio going.
yeah,
Alright.
they're making their money back. So, for the description, we don't really have a description. It's more so just, I guess, a summarization of what happened with this. Producer Masao Moriyama announced at animation studio Mappa's Otakon panel that the second Garo Honen no Kokian television anime series is slated for this October. Unlike the first Garo anime, this series will be a period drama, Jidaigeki, set in the Heian period. It will have a female protagonist. So basically, it's going to be samurais.
Oh, okay.
You just said a bunch of
Yeah.
words that meant nothing to me, and I'm really glad you closed it with "It's
Samurais.
gonna be samurais," because now I understand.
Yeah,
what's
I'm
going
gonna
on.
watch it.
Now I'm
Or I'm gonna watch
interested.
the first episode anyways. I'll
This is
try
if
it.
this is like
If
one
it's
of those
female
good-
samurais, you know, if we have like a Mulan scenario going on, I'm actually pretty interested. I'll give it a
Yeah,
try.
you have me at
watch
female
that.
protagonist and samurai and period piece.
I like
So.
what-
Yeah, period pieces are always
Swords.
interesting.
And the art looks pretty good. That concept art looks pretty good.
Oh, yeah, it looks okay.
Those of you listening can't see this concept art.
Oh, wow,
Please go
yeah.
look it up.
It looks pretty good for the record.
So-
It's pretty.
We'll give it a let's give it the soft pass, the old Mappa soft pass. Next we have Goshimanwa Asugi Desuka. The second season of Goshimanwa Asugi Desuka. Koka is still living and working at Cafe Rabbit House. This anime follows her and the friends she has made throughout their time working in the cafe, done by Studio White Fox. This is a comedy slice of life show, so it's basically just going to be the daily lives of these cute girls as they work at this cafe. So if you're into just cute girls doing cute things, this is your show. And if you're not, you should probably look for something else.
Kawaii desu.
Indeed.
Gonna give that
Indeed.
no.
So I'm gonna
I'll
give it
personally
a
pass.
I'm gonna give it a soft pass. Depends on what you're into, but for me,
I'll give
not
it.
one
I'll
of
give
them.
an episode to watch. I'm always a fan of slice of life things.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll give an episode a go. I'm with you on that one, Matt.
All right, whatever. Go for it. Have fun.
Thank you.
I don't. I
If it ends up being
I
like
like
Madoka
action.
Magic, I'll jump in.
Just a
gosh.
note on our rating system. I feel a hard pass is something that everyone should give a shot. Soft pass is something that most people should give a shot, but depending on
If you're feeling adventurous, get
soft pass I think most people should, but depending, you maybe shouldn't. I think a soft fail is most people shouldn't, but if you're into it, sure. And a hard fail is just no, don't waste your time.
Don't even. Yeah.
I love how we
enunciate
just started using these terms and we didn't explain them at all.
I think-
And
I
we just
think
kind of guessed what they meant
Yeah,
between each other.
We should enunciate
I
that.
I understood from the beginning. I think it's pretty obvious.
I realized
Let's-
some of us didn't get what was doing. I think me and Josh were on the same page.
I
but
knew what was going. I knew what
I think
it doesn't-
Alessandro too,
doesn't-
but
We're
moving
all
on.
good. Get please.
We have Haikyuu 2, done by Production IG. It's a direct sequel to the Haikyuu TV anime. Junior high school student Shoyo Hinata continues pushing his volleyball club forward, aiming to improve on the results he's achieved so far.
So for those of you who can't see Josh's face,
I like some
lit up.
volleyball. That's pretty good.
I'm just gonna say.
So like
I watched
Prince
the
of Volleyball.
No, I watched the first season of Haikyuu, and it was probably, if not my favorite, one of my favorite shows of the last 3 years. So, I'm giving this a hard pass if you've seen the first season, and if you haven't, you should probably go see the first season and then consider watching the second season.
So what you're telling me is it's a bunch of dudes doing volleyball. Is it like the basketball one? Because I like the basketball anime. Because that one's
It's
really
not
cool.
it's not as like over the top as Kuroko no Basuke, if that's what you're talking about.
It doesn't matter as long as they're doing.
This is more realistic, more focused on the relationships between them, but it does some damn good sports.
Okay.
I am down
Damn
with
good
this.
sports.
Also, as long as it's not the swimming level anime, because that's
Free.
Free is a pass usually in my book, but as long as it's like the basketball
So
one,
I'm gonna give this
with
a hard pass if you've seen the first season. If not, you should really try the first season.
I'm going to
Check
give
it out.
I'm going to give it a light pass to a hard pass. I don't know where I am in that, but
yeah,
I
I'll
like
give
decent volleyball.
I'll give it like a soft pass of like if that's your thing, you know.
Okay, next show we have Heavy Object, done by JC Staff. This science fiction war action story revolves around objects, powerful massive weapons that change the course of warfare, and elite object pilots. An odd elite girl named Melinda meets Quenser, a student who aims to become an object mechanic, with the soldier in training Helvia on a snowy battlefield. So this sounds very generic, very
It's just called Heavy Object.
Yep.
What?
very just anime and big giant robots.
All right. Well,
I'm gonna give it a soft pass. If you like your mecha shows and
there's
you
just
wanna
so,
give it a
there's
try.
so many shows like that. If it had amazing like design and special effects, I'm sure it'd probably be good. But other than that, I have no idea.
Yeah, so we're gonna just move on to our next show, Hidan no Aria, AA, done by Doge Kobo, another studio that has done nothing but good things for the past few seasons. A young girl idolizes the world-renowned S-ranked Butai Kanzaki H. Aria. That is a name, Kanzaki H. Aria, and plans to follow in her footsteps. However, her test grades toss her out as only an E rank. All is not lost, however, as Aria agrees to give her some pointers and take her under her wing. Can Aria help this newcomer become a first-rate Butai?
Okay,
What is it?
I have 2 questions.
Is a butai anything like a butte?
I'm not sure. I know that there's a first season of this show, and it's basically just kind of witch girls getting into fights with each other.
Okay,
So if
now,
that sounds fun to you, just remember that there's another season and you should probably watch that first. So I'm just going to give it a soft pass and move on to our next show.
Wait.
Hokito no Ken. I'm moving on.
No, you dead.
Hokito no Ken. Ichigo Aiji. The spinoff centers on a fun version of the Holy Emperor Souther as he finds his ways to become friends with Kenshiro. Demonstrates his party techniques and sometimes play with Go Shisei. So if you don't get this, this is a spinoff of, I think, Fist of the North Star.
That sounds like Fist of the North Star.
And so, if you like Fist of the North Star, maybe give it a try,
Did
but
they say be
otherwise...
friends.
Yeah, wait.
Yes.
Read that description back again, because that didn't. The names were Fist of the North Star.
Yeah,
The
it is-
actions were.
Yes, this is a spin-off series. Obviously, it's a comedy and a seinen. So, seinen means it's targeted more at an older demographic, more like over 20s. So, this spin-off is going to center on a fun version of the Holy Emperor Souther as he finds ways to become friends with Kenshiro, demonstrates his party techniques, and sometimes plays with the Go Shisei.
Okay.
If you haven't seen Fist of the North Star, basically it's everyone getting angry at each other, testosterone pumping, and just punching each other until they're nothing more than a bloody pulp. So this is the exact
It's a matter
opposite
of
that.
how long it takes Kenshiro to walk somewhere
before he kills something.
Yeah.
Like if you've seen Mad Max, it's Mad Max without the guns, and then everyone just uses karate.
Or the
kill each
crazy.
other.
Kenshiro's completely sane. He just kills people.
He just kind of screams and punches people, and then he says, "You're already dead," and they're like, "What are you talking about?" And then their face literally explodes, and it's pretty much a model for how to make an amazing TV show. And
So-
the fact that we just have a goofy character who now wants to be friends with everyone, and it's supposed to be funny. I mean, I literally have no idea what to think of this, but
This
it
is
could-
the continuation
could be
that Fist of the North Star needed. This is
where,
really
where it needs
this
to
is,
go.
this is where the show needed to go. So I'm gonna say that everyone needs to see the show, especially if you've seen Fist
Yeah,
of the
the
North
trend
Star.
seems to be gritty reboots, and this is the exact opposite of that.
I am
Yeah.
very okay with this.
This is a
If you've seen Fist of the
Strong.
North Star, I'm gonna pass it.
strong. I'm gonna give it a strong.
I'm gonna
pass.
give it a strong pass if
pass.
you've seen Fist of the North Star, soft pass if you haven't, because I think it'd probably be
Yeah,
funny if
so
you didn't.
sure.
I'm
It's
gonna stick
gonna
with
be-
a soft pass right now because I myself have not
I'm
seen
just
Fist
gonna
of the
note-
North Star.
I'm just gonna note that there's no animation studio for it yet.
That's
so,
fine.
I hope there isn't. I hope it's just like the writers just making doodles.
Like the anime just materializes from nowhere, and they just send it to the TV company, and they just put it on air.
They just get like the same art style as Crayon Shinchan.
Okay, our next show is K: Return of Kings by Studio Gohans. In modern Japan, where history has strangely overlapped with reality, there's 7 kings with great superpowers who existed. Okay, this is very bad English.
Is this
Along with
a-
their clansmen to whom they shared their own power, with the kings each formed clans. Orders bound by blue, red flames that cause chaos, irregularities that shine in white, and reforms branched off into green. The kings, each with their own power? That's where the description ends.
I've read that. I've watched this. I've watched
the first season too.
I could not. I couldn't. I literally
It
just
was-
couldn't.
It is extremely hard to follow. So I'm going to give you a try the first season. If you like it, here's your second season. I'm going to note that there's a movie in between, so you may want to check out the movie. I liked the first season, but at the same time, I didn't really like it enough to want more.
I watched. I think it was like 6 episodes of it, and it was a slog. Like I felt like I was crawling.
It is very slow. It kind of, I will admit that it kind of picks up more towards the latter half.
I hope it does, because nothing was going on at all. There was just
Like everything
nothing.
that happened pretty much happened in the last 3-4 episodes. So I'm gonna give it a soft fail actually.
I'm gonna give it a soft fail as well, because like I remember just watching this, and it was just this kid, and I was like, oh, you're our protagonist with white hair, and I'm definitely supposed to relate to you. And it was literally just him being like such an idiot and just walking around and doing nothing. And then suddenly things start happening in his life, but he literally doesn't change anything, and it was just so dumb.
Okay.
So I'm gonna give it.
Our next show,
a soft
Kido Senshi Gundam, Teketsu no Orphans.
Did you say Gundam?
And then-
Yes,
and
this
then
is
Orphans.
the new Gundam
I'm
series.
already gonna say
Hard
a
pass.
hard fail from me.
Hard pass for me.
Okay,
I like
it's done by
Gundams.
Studio Sunrise, which has done everyone. Anyway, here's your synopsis.
I don't need one. It's Gundam. Hard pass.
Hard fail.
300 years after a great conflict between Earth and Mars, known as the Calamity War, a woman named Cordelia sets out on a journey to Earth to speak for the independence of the Martian city of Christ, which is under the control of the Earth government. Escorting her is the private security company CGS members Mikazuki August and Orga Itsuki when a group named Galahorn attacks CGS and Cordelia. Let's see. And this one, let's see. Orga sees this as a chance to rebel against CGS and launch a coup. Mikazuki and Orga are thrust into a new conflict to fend off Galahorn. Mikazuki rides an old mobile suit from the Calamity War, powered by a nuclear reactor, the Gundam Barbatos. So basically, this is going to be your normal coup d'etat, except with giant robots.
I like giant robots.
I like overthrowing governments, and I like
I used to
over.
I keep hearing Gjallarhorn, correct? Is that a name? Gjallarhorn?
Galahorn.
It's giving me a Destiny vibe from that for some reason.
Yeah.
Is there something from Destiny that has the name Gjallarhorn?
There's a rocket that's now horrendously underpowered.
Okay, alright, okay. I just wanted to make sure I was hearing that same word. I'm still giving this a hard pass.
I'm giving it a hard pass just because we haven't seen really a good new Gundam in a while, and this is looking like the first one. So you should at least be checking out a few episodes if you're interested at all in Gundam.
It sounds like what
Gundam a lot as a
Gundam
kid.
used to be about, like in essence of what that whole genre was.
Yeah, very political, very involved, very just two completely opposing forces going against each other.
I like Gundam like a lot. It was really
Okay, next up we're going to do Noragami Arigato by Studio Bones. This is the second season of Noragami, which will adapt the manga's Bishamon arc. And I saw Noragami Season 1. Basically, it follows this god of kind of luck and greed.
Is that the one with the guy in the tracksuit?
Yeah, and he performs favors for people, and he ends up getting involved with this high school girl by chance. And there's a lot of like supernatural. It's kind of an action adventure. It's funny, and if you like the first one, you should check it out. If not, you should check it out because it's another one of my favorites from the past few years. It was really enjoyable and kind of like that old school like Adult Swim style of anime. So
I liked what I saw from it. I liked it, and I thought it was kind of goofy and funny. I certainly saw appeal in it, and like the characters' reactions were pretty entertaining to a lot of the things that happen in the world, and it was good. I'd give it a soft pass, probably.
And I will say that the last season, Studio Bones pretty much put no money and effort into it, and it turned out good. And this season, it's their marquee show. So I'm interested to see where it goes when it actually has some support behind it.
I'll give it a pass. I like Studio Bones' stuff. Sounds okay.
They're good. Next up, we have a fan favorite among our crowd here. One Punch Man.
Yes! Hard pass!
Done by Madhouse Studios.
This is the
manga.
A strong pass from Josh.
The manga revolves around the titular superhero who has trained so hard that his hair has fallen out and who can overcome any enemy with one punch. However, because he is so strong, he has become bored and frustrated with winning all his battles so easily. Now, I'm just going to note that Chris, Josh, and I have all watched the first episode of this because it leaked way beforehand. And I can say that it already has a great manga, a great source material, and the anime did nothing to change that. It's still just as great as it was. So I'm just going to give it a hard pass. Everyone should watch this show. This is probably going to be the one that everyone's watching. You should give it an episode.
If I legitimately laughed out loud at like how the character was drawn at certain moments. There's like he has like a serious face that he gets when he's like actually fighting, and then there's just the goofy face that he does at other times, and the goofy face like actually made me laugh out loud. Not to mention, I love everything about this show and the concept of it, and it's just fantastic. Like seriously, if you like stupid fighting and stuff like that, this is actually the show for you. It's amazing. I mean, yeah, it's just definitely give this one a watch. Very strong pass, about as strong as I can give a pass for one of these.
Next up, we have Owari no Seraph, Nagia Kessenhen by Studio Wit. It's notable, I guess, to the audience and to our group here that Studio Wit is the same animation studio that did Attack on Titan.
Oh.
So for reference on what this thing's kind of be, it's a drama shonen supernatural vampire show, and it's the second season. There's not really a description for it, but from what I've watched, the first season was pretty good, so if you've seen the first season, give it more episodes, because it looks like it's just going to be more of the same if you like it, but otherwise, maybe check it out. I mean, it's pretty much resting on the laurels of Attack on Titan from what I'm aware of. It itself isn't really anything special. So.
In that case, I'm going to say no, because I didn't particularly care for Attack on Titan.
So yeah, if you like Attack on Titan, maybe check out the first season. If not, just move on. Move on.
Wait, what didn't you like about Attack on Titan?
I just felt like it was trying.
Was it too good for you? Is that what
maybe
it was?
maybe that's what it was. Maybe
Did you
I
not
like bad
enjoy
anime.
the giant?
I think it's
like,
because I really like
zombies?
Desert Punk, and I just don't like things that are good.
You really don't like things that are good. That's a good point. Unless it's Led Zeppelin.
Our next show is going to be Owari Monogatari, done by Studio Shaft. This is the anime continuation of the Monogatari series. So if you've seen any of those shows and you liked them and you're caught all the way up, I myself am a big fan of it. This is a hard pass. If not, maybe start at the beginning with Bakemonogatari and give it a try. And you're probably not going to be able to finish up to the point where this anime begins by the time this anime airs, but if you want a recommendation, just try the first one.
Sorry, what was the studio again?
Studio Shaft.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. Studio Shaft. That's it.
Hard pass.
Next up, we have Pokemon X, Y, and Z by Studio Oriental Light and Magic.
Hard pass. Let's keep going. It's Pokemon.
More Pokemon.
Yeah.
So literally,
Hard
yeah,
pass.
I'm just gonna say, if you like Pokemon, just watch it. If you don't, just seriously crawl out from underneath the rock and start watching those stupid
We don't need
shows.
to talk.
I don't know.
I'm gonna bash you repeatedly on this one. Like, you
I
gotta,
don't-
you gotta.
I don't care for the newer Pokemon
Oh,
animes.
I didn't say I did, but if you like Pokemon, then go ahead and watch it.
Yeah, if you
that's
like
all.
Pokemon, you're gonna
Like,
like
either
Alright,
at
you
this
guys-
point
yeah,
you
you
know
guys
that this
got
is
a point.
happening, or you don't.
It's more Ash Ketchum still being a kid and not aging
Except
at
for
all.
Pokemon Origins, if they're doing another season of that, or did they finish?
I don't know what that is.
You don't know what?
like the little mini series that they did.
Yeah, it was like a.
No, that was just a spin-off. That was actually very
I know
good.
it's a spinoff.
Next
I'm gonna
please.
cut it off and just say, you like Pokemon? Watch it.
There you go.
Pokemon.
I was right.
Our next
Yeah.
show, Rakudai Kishi no Uten, done by Silverlink. The school sword action story, and that's a quote, school sword action story, revolves around
Sounds
magic
real.
knights, modern magic users who fight with weapons converted from their souls. Iki Kuragane goes to a school for these magic knights, but he is a failed knight, or the worst one, who is failing because he has no magical skills. However, one day he is challenged to a duel by Stella, a foreign princess and the #1 student.
How did he get into the school?
How are the people who made Sword Art Online not suing these people for taking the concept of Sword Art Online and just applying it to a high school?
So I'm just gonna guess that this is a typical. They're gonna duel. It's gonna be like, oh, if you win, you get whatever he wants, and somehow he is going to be like,
No, it comes in anyways.
okay, to restart. I think it's gonna be your stereotypical story of them challenging a duel, and he somehow wins, and then she has to do whatever he wants, and that's just not interesting to me. So I'm gonna give it a pass.
And then they're gonna fall in love, probably.
Oh, yeah.
Probably pretty dang generic, because she's gonna be like, "How could you beat me? He must be better than me. We must be lovers now." And then that's gonna happen.
Next
So-
up, we have Shingeki Kyojin Shokugaki, also done by Production IG. This is going to be your spin-off Shingeki no Kyojin series, where basically they all go to school, and the Colossal Titan is the principal.
I'm.
It's a comedy anime. It's a parody. And it's a school show.
See,
Give this one a soft pass.
I'm gonna give this one a soft pass as well, because anything that's that stupid in concept probably is gonna work. It's the same thing with the Kenshiro thing, like him just being friends. It's
no,
gonna
but
be
like the Fist of
them-
the North Star one is so like potently like in lore. It sounds like that it's like hysterical. This one just kind of goes a little.
Sounds like weird. I don't know.
Yeah,
what
like I'll
it's
give it a soft pass, but I'm not sure.
I'll give it a soft pass.
Why not? Soft pass still. Oof.
Alright, next we have Young Blackjack by Tezuka Productions. Young Blackjack is a prequel to Osamu Tezuka's classic manga series about a brilliant maverick doctor who practices without a license. The concept of Blackjack is basically, again, this dude that practices without a license, but he's basically the best doctor that you can possibly ever get. And so he performs basically the surgeries that nobody else would perform.
I don't know. Matt's a pretty good doctor.
Basically, he would perform the surgeries that no one else can perform or will perform for morality issues. And this is just going to be more of the same, probably an origin story. So,
I'm okay with this.
I'm going to give it a soft pass.
Soft
I'll
pass.
give it a pass. I'll
Seems
watch an episode or
interesting.
two.
And
I like doctors.
to wrap it up, we have Taimado Gakuen 35 Shiken Shotai, done by Silverlink Studios.
Hard fail. I don't even know what
Is
it
this
said.
the 35th season? Because if it is, I'm gonna say hard
no.
fail.
The school action fantasy is set in a world where people with magic powers are close to being wiped out. Just as the balance of power in military might have shifted from swords to sorcery, it shifts once again to guns. Takaru Kusanagi goes to Anti-Magic Academy, a training facility for inquisitors of heretics who crack down on the dwindling threat posed by magic users.
I love how like when you started, I was like, this show sounds awful, and the more you talked, I was like, wait, this show sounds really good and nuanced.
Honestly, the idea of someone becoming like a person who has to fight people with magic. The only problem is that the main character is inevitably gonna probably become a magician some stupid way through. But there is.
But what if he doesn't?
If that didn't happen within like the first like episode or two, or if I knew for a fact that that wasn't gonna happen, I would give this I'd give that a soft pass. I'd say I'd
I'm
probably
giving
watch
this a
it.
soft pass, actually.
I'm giving this a half mast pass.
So you're right in the middle.
I like when shows are fighting against something like insurmountably difficult and they have to use like stupid tactics to get around it. Like that's like a cool kind of concept to a show, and that's what this sounds like overall. But I mean, I got this gut feeling it's gonna be, oh, look at this, guys, I'm a magician, and then everyone wants to kill him except for that one girl, and then they love each other, and then that's the show.
Josh,
So,
have you ever considered writing an anime? Because you'd be really good
probably
at it.
would be real good at it, because I definitely know how to speak, and not at all I'm really bad at life. That's totally not me.
Great.
So does that wrap it up for the anime section?
So that wraps it up for our
Is
anime
there any
Wait, wait,
yokai
wait.
watch
Oh.
this season?
Hold on, what about, isn't there like more Tokyo Ghoul coming out? Isn't that?
Nope. Well,
No?
nope, that's not happening.
Not yet.
Is there any yokai
Well,
watch this season?
You
That's-
legitimately just look like a sad puppy
That's
there
the
for a
show,
moment.
folks. Guess Josh isn't coming back anymore, because the only anime I ever cared about, apparently no one else cares about anymore, and we're just not gonna do it. Also, the studio that made the second season, that, shame on them. Shame on them. Anyways.
To move on.
So Matt, or are we done with the?
Yeah, we're completely finished. We just went through all the shows. Basically, seems like pretty nuanced season, and that you're probably not going to be watching the same stuff as anybody else if you're interested at all in this kind of thing.
Except for One Punch Man.
Except for One Punch
One
Man.
Punch Man is something everybody should watch, and you are going to love yourself more than you have ever loved anything in your
Watch
life.
One Punch Man. Watch the Gundam one if you're feeling it. Watch Pokemon if you're that kind of kid. I don't. Just forget about everything else.
And
Those-
watch the volleyball one.
Oh,
Yeah,
the
the
volleyball
volleyball
one.
Sport.
Nothing better than volleyball, boys and girls. This is the best sport. This is the best sport. All right.
All right. So next up we have our music section. So Matt, you want to take us away?
Yeah.
All right, moving away from anime, we're talking about musicians who have left successful bands or musical acts and gone on to do their own thing and how successful they've been. I want to start this off with Jack White, who was originally in the White Stripes, and then he joined the Raconteurs with some buddies. Then he went and did the Dead Weather. After the White Stripes, he went out. He's now released 2 albums, Blunderbuss and Lazaretto. Both of them have been very critically acclaimed, stylistically very different from the White Stripes, and he's really grown as a musician a lot. Although he has been a little bit more of a butt lately because he's rude about other artists such as the Black Keys, that feud going on. But overall, Jack White has been very successful with and without a band. And if you liked any White Stripes stuff and you haven't decided to go and listen to Jack White, or you didn't know he made other things besides the White Stripes, check him out. He's always a good listen.
How do you personally feel about Jack White's solo stuff?
I think Jack White's solo stuff is probably some of his most unique material. Like he's gone off into his own little genre of
It's different.
music.
I mean, isn't it always? Because your solo stuff,
Yes.
you're not constrained by your other
Very
members
much
of
so.
your
Yeah.
group.
Very, very much so. But he's
He's way more off the walls than most people.
yeah, he really went off the walls. He found a really good little vibe for himself, especially with Lazaretto. And it's worth a listen if you haven't. Lazaretto came out I think last year, maybe the year before, I don't even remember. And it's been good stuff. Listen to Dead Weather if you also like Jack White but not listening to Jack White's voice.
So, what was the name of his drummer before? The girl that he was with?
Meg White,
Is it Meg White? Okay, Meg White.
his sister, there's quotation marks around that because they
Yeah.
were actually married and then they weren't married.
And then, it's
And
just
then they
what it
lied
is.
to everyone and said that they were brother and sister because it was easier for them.
Nice.
Meg White was always like super quiet and like she obviously did a lot for the band and stuff like that. But like she doesn't do anything now. I don't think she doesn't make any music.
No,
And-
she made her money.
And
She's
then she's just
hanging-
done, which I totally understand and respect a lot because I'm sure they made buckets of money off of the stuff they did because it was so successful. But
Not cartons, but at least
I
buckets.
mean, if you like look at the songs that Jack White has made, it is so different, and it's crazy to think that it's like you can hear the same voice and you know it's the same person, but like if you look at like anything from like just any of the albums and then you compare it to like the song I'm Shaken that he has, that song is in such a wildly different direction. The only song I can think of that's like close is in like theme is probably like Iggy Thump or whatever. That's like the closest you can get, but even then they're still really, really far apart. Like that song is nothing like what I would have ever expected from him, and it's really cool to see an artist just be like, okay, I'm on my own now, and now I'm going to make something like I've never done before, and he totally rocks it, and it works out really well. It's really cool.
Solo Jack White is a success and will continue to be a success until he gets into a bigger feud with the Black Keys and Dan Auerbach gets angry.
What is going on between Jack White and the Black Keys?
Jack White, several years ago, accused the Black Keys, which is, I can't remember the other guy's name, Dan Auerbach or something like that.
And someone less important.
Drummer guy.
And Drummer, who I'm really annoyed that I can't remember his
really
name.
cool.
So-
He's not John Bottom, Neil Peart, Dave Grohl. It doesn't matter.
Good point.
He still sins a little.
So, Jack White believed that, or he accused them of stealing his sound. You know, his signature White Stripes sound of, two people, guitar and drums, making, that kind of genre of rock and roll. Which is understandable, especially with a lot of earlier Black Keys stuff, although Black Keys were always a little bit more experimental and had much more unique drumming, simply because Meg White was a very simple drummer.
He is a very simple drummer. I
But
agree.
that's what's happening there, and they've kind of been feuding since then, and it's been flaring up very recently, actually, where Dan Auerbach from the Black Keys said that Jack White went to like a bar that Dan was at in New York and was accosting him while there. But that's what that is. Other artists that have broken away from successful group acts being Zayn from One Direction. I'm just bringing this up because I feel like I should. Zayn from One Direction has been, if not, they've probably been the biggest boy band since NSYNC. And I care very little for them as musicians, as artists, as a thing that music comes out of. And we have,
As an orifice through which music is like outputted.
presented to us. Yes.
and Zayn as a person, he's probably doing perfectly fine. He's making his money. We haven't seen any fruits of his split from One Direction. We've seen, I think, a single from One Direction since Zayn split, and I'm pretty sure all of the 14-year-old girls in the world really liked it still. So I can't say much about that. So talking about NSYNC, Justin Timberlake, he, 15 years ago at this point,
Justin Timberlake's album that he put out recently, and also his
2020 experience?
Yeah, 2020 Experience. Thank you. I can remember the name. 2020 Experience. Also, his work that he does with Jay-Z, I am a big fan of.
It's actually pretty good.
I think Justin Timberlake was the most successful person from a boy band ever. Hands down. He's moved into acting, and he's done very well with that, with SNL skits and things like that, and whatever that movie that he was in.
The one with the time stuff.
Oh yeah, those where you have the certain time, then you die, and you get barcode.
It was actually a pretty okay
I
movie.
actually was pretty alright with that movie.
What was that movie called?
Out
It's
of
just
time.
called
Look it up.
Yeah.
I don't
Please look
know.
it up.
It might have been called Out of Time.
So Justin Timberlake, he's definitely been even more successful without the rest of his band. He's been able to do a lot of other things with SNL.
Yeah, it was not out of time; it was in time.
He's acting now in films such as In Time, and those have been relatively well received.
Good.
Makes great music to this day, and all around just a really, really good person.
Also, I think part of it is I don't think of him anymore as the kid from NSYNC.
No, that's-
he's
he's Justin
Justin
Timberlake.
Timberlake.
Yeah, no, it's
But
just
when I
Timberlake.
think of Joey from NSYNC, I think, oh god, Joey, oh.
From NSYNC.
Yeah,
From
but you
NSYNC.
think Justin
He's
Timberlake,
fat
and you
now.
think Justin Timberlake,
You don't think Justin Timberlake
and then you're
from
like,
NSYNC.
"Oh,
oh right,
It's
he was
Justin
in
Timberlake,
NSYNC.
not Justin from NSYNC, which all the other members are their first name and
Yeah.
then from
From
NSYNC.
He was able to break away from being, maybe
Being a member of a
musician.
boy band.
I think that's one of the things about when you have to separate from one of these bands or whatever, you have to make sure that people identify you as an individual, not as a former member of a group.
Yes.
And so far, all of the artists you have listed apparently are doing that to a degree, at least.
I mean, we don't know much about Zayn so far.
I can't
And
pretend
also,
that I do.
with his solo career?
Nothing so far. I mean, he's probably working on something.
I mean, I have examples of the other end of that, but
It's tough to get away from
Yes.
the White Stripes label, though.
Also,
Jack White is
back to
doing
Jack
fine
White
now.
for a moment. Jack White and his record company, Third Man Records, have produced some fantastic records that were not his own, and they do really cool stuff with vinyl records. So if you were interested in vinyl records at all, check out Jack White's stuff. They do a lot of promotional, like exclusive vinyls, and they're really cool.
They were
That's
the
all I have
one
to say about
that,
that.
were they the one that had the vinyl that had like literally the blood in it?
No, that was
No.
the Flaming Lips a couple years ago.
Was it their company that they did it through?
No.
Okay.
Jack White is the one that has the disc when it spins fast enough, it makes like the hologram. That's the one that I
okay.
have, which
Yeah,
is
that was Lazaretto.
that is super cool.
So, another artist that broke away from their band being Phil Collins back in like the mid '80s, who was the drummer and then later on the singer for Genesis, and then he broke away from Genesis and he went off and did some great solo stuff.
He did the music for Tarzan, and if you I recommend sitting down one day, listen to the Tarzan soundtrack from front to back, and if it doesn't invoke like a single emotion from you, like even without watching the movie, there's something wrong with you, and you should see a doctor.
I think I can think of 2 examples of artists that have come up recently that have been on the other end of the spectrum who haven't done well. Do you have anything else you want to say before I say that? Or
so
whatever?
Phil Collins made some really good stuff. Definitely a solo artist that has been successful in his career. And Peter Gabriel, who was the original lead singer from Genesis, also broke off from Genesis and had a good career there.
I mean,
The Beatles. You could say
All four.
you could say the Beatles and their
Well,
respective solo acts, being not part of the Beatles, have all been really good until their untimely or timely deaths, depending on how you want to look at it. Which I don't look at them as timely, but and then you have Morrissey, who was the lead singer from the Smiths back in the '80s and early '90s, and his ability to be an asshat has just continuously grown. And that's all I have to say about that. I have another tangent about music to talk about, maybe now, maybe never.
Go for it.
This is actually I'm gonna save this for the hot seat.
All right.
But bands that come back after a long hiatus.
ooh, I'm excited.
I
am
have
excited.
some things I would like to say on that fact.
Bands that come
Yeah.
back after a long hiatus. Bands that have done it well. None.
Really?
I like saving that for a hot seat topic because I think all of us have something to
I
say.
have
on that.
things
I
to
just
say
have
about
one
that.
question I want to ask Matt about that. though.
Yes.
Like, how long of when you say hiatus, you mean at least a year or more, right? Or do you mean like
I give it
like
more
an
than a year.
overly long?
I
hiatus?
see hiatus as a longer time, and I really don't mean that none of them have come back well. Just
Can I also
some are bad.
can I add to the group of people as we're thrown out there?
Please.
Beyonce splitting from Destiny's
Yes,
Child.
I was actually going to bring
Yeah.
up Beyonce. Beyonce has become a queen.
I believe it's
is
pronounced
queen.
Beyonce.
Whatever she decides to pronounce her name.
Bounce?
Beyonce has done
Like bounce.
extremely good things with and without her other band members, if you want to call them band members, group members.
I also
Beyonce. That's a good one.
I know that I think the rap group Das Racist also broke up, and they're all doing their individual thing, and everyone agrees that they are all not great on their own.
I
And
could see
they
that.
also just still say like that guy from Das Racist, and it just literally doesn't work at all. And then there's that EDM group whose name is completely escaping me, but has the song Greyhound that everyone knows. Do
No
you,
idea.
Do you seriously not know who I'm talking about?
Nope.
Not a single
I love how you looked at me like I'm the only one who's like
No,
a relative
what's-
EDM.
Don't You
It's
Worry,
pretty good.
Child, whatever that song is.
I
you know
stay
that?
very far away from
Oh,
you.
yeah,
Avicii?
Avicii?
No, it's
No,
the
it's
group
not
of 3 guys. They're from like Europe.
There's a
Like
lot of
Chemical
EDM
Brothers?
fans from you.
Give me 2 seconds here. I'm gonna have to use the
Um,
power of internet at my fingers because I figured this was
I
gonna be
will
easy
fill
for
the
me to
void by
remember.
saying that NWA is another example,
NWA is another example.
with both Dre and Ice Cube going on to perform.
Ice Cube became an
Separate
actor,
things.
a bad actor, but
Well,
he
he-
But I mean,
He
at
was
least
great
he
on Law and
became
Order.
an actor.
So what I was referring to was Swedish House Mafia,
Oh.
which
Oh.
many of you
Okay.
apparently just don't remember the name of any of
I
their
don't
songs.
listen to EDM.
Nope. I don't listen to
I
Swedish
don't
House
blame
Mafia.
you for
I
not
listen to
listening
EDM, but I've never listened
I just
to
figured
Swedish
that
House
saying
Mafia.
2 of their very popular songs would have helped, but the point is that all 3 of them have broken up, and once again, it is literally like, oh, that guy from Swedish House Mafia. It's cool because you can see all of the songs that each of them made. Like, it's very obvious that some of them had huge parts in some of the songs, and other of them, like, other times that they all work together. But specifically, like, there is one of the artists which you can pinpoint every single one of the songs that he made for, like, when it was Swedish House Mafia. And it's not going well for any of them, other than the fact that it's just EDM, and that area is just completely swelled with people, so it's not going to be easy for any of them to take off on their own.
So, also, as far as people who kind of split off from bands, like, even, like, post-breakup, there was that one drummer from Nirvana, I think. He's pretty popular in this group.
Do you mean Dave Grohl?
The one and only.
A note about Dave Grohl. I am a very big fan of Dave Grohl.
But
and
we all are
As
here.
well.
Dave Grohl has pretty much been involved with anything in music in my mind.
But for a lot of people, Dave Grohl is still the drummer from Nirvana, which is a very strange thing because...
Which is an amazing thing.
Because he's grown out of it.
He's grown out of it.
He is Foo Fighters.
He's barely that at all anymore. He's just this train of success. Anyways.
Dave Grohl released an album called Probot, which if you have not heard, and you like metal music, I recommend you drop whatever you're doing and just listen to it.
I like pretty much everything that he's put out, and I have to say that, like, recently, just in the media, he just does things that everyone loves, and he's just, like, this giant, unstoppable, like, social media icon right now of, like, good stuff, too. He doesn't make that much of a fool of himself. He does, like, genuinely good things and a lot of, like, nice things for people.
He's like an actually good person.
It's like he's a good person, and he's also famous. It's crazy, and it's, again, people still...
Dave Grohl is the nicest man in rock and roll.
I would agree with that. I would 100% agree with that. I can't think of a person that's nicer than him anytime.
Dave Grohl, great guy.
I'm pretty sure he's like one of the few people that's like close to John Cena on the Make-A-Wish thing.
I would not be surprised by
I would
that.
not be
He's done like
surprised.
a lot of Make-A-Wishes, if I remember correctly.
John Cena has done a lot of Make-A-Wishes.
It's John
Oh,
Cena,
he
man.
is in the
You didn't know
lead
this?
by like hundreds.
John Cena
Yeah,
is
John Cena does a
destroying
lot.
on that.
Yeah.
You're kidding me!
No,
No, John...
What?
Have you seen the pictures? There's like a wall of pictures.
No, I had no idea!
John Cena is...
Okay.
I thought everybody just thought he was a meme. Oh my god, I didn't know
Cena's a
people
real
actually really enjoyed his presence. I thought he just...
Dude, how could you not be enjoying...
well, I mean,
Okay.
obviously the joke in
Let's
wrestling.
talk about John Cena later, because this is not...
That'll be a hot seat at some point, but here's for reference all of the...
Chris, just look at the pictures.
John Cena
Look at the
does a
old
lot of
lady.
stuff for Make-A-Wish Foundation. There you go. We are
Well,
going on a
Cena.
tangent.
Pictures
wow,
right.
stand-up guy.
We are moving on a tangent, and I'm trying to get us away from that
Yeah.
tangent.
You're
All
right.
right,
No,
but,
you're
but,
right, you're
but,
right.
but for the viewers at home, like, they saw the wall, so now they know. All right, so are we gonna
Move on.
I have nothing else to say. Musically, I'm not going to talk about a lot of like releases and stuff, except if it's like really, really big. Just because you can look up that information on your own. If you're following an artist, you already know that that artist is putting out music.
Like Disturbed.
Like Disturbed.
Disturbed
Yeah.
put out a
Listen to
new
their
album.
new album. It's pretty damn
They were
good.
on a
It
hiatus.
is.
They came back, and it's good.
So not
Okay.
every band. We'll
It's-
talk about that next time.
Disturbed is really good.
Yeah.
No, actually, we're going to talk about Taylor Swift next time.
Oh,
So-
God.
Yes, please.
All right, so video games is what's next on the agenda. Is my point of interest. So the Tokyo Game Show happened
Can we talk about Mad Max?
this weekend. We can.
We'll
Mad-
talk
wait,
We'll
is
talk
Mad
about
Max
Mad Max
a
video
video
game. Oh
It
yeah,
has-
you didn't
it
know
has a
this?
game.
No,
It's-
I don't.
It
I've
has a
never
game,
seen a Mad Max movie.
But I've yet to play it, so I can't really give as full of a
Of
opinion
course.
on that as I would like
We'll
to.
talk about
So,
that at some other point.
The Tokyo Game Show did
So
happen, and because we're talking about weeaboo bullshit, shizzle, we're going to talk about the Tokyo Game Show. So Josh, you look like you have something you want to say.
Oh no, go ahead, please continue. Just talk about the Tokyo Game Show. Just carry on, have fun.
And it's also in Street Fighter news.
Oh,
there was
oh
some
man,
there was some
Wow.
character announced
read my
Yeah.
mind. Favorite game
at
of Josh's.
the Tokyo Game Show, but because no one cares about that, we're not actually gonna.
We're not going to talk about
mention
that, but Josh likes the punching games the best. And guess what? They announced a new character, and I was just
Oh really?
so.
They announced a new. I didn't know
did-
about
did
this.
sit
Was
down
it-
and talk about
was
this
it
with
Tremors?
We're so the Tokyo Game Show started off strong with the Sony keynote, where we heard about a lot of really awesome stuff. So everyone in this room is a pretty big fan of Bloodborne. Yeah.
We're flans.
It's flans. We're flans.
We're
of
all
Bloodborne.
Okay,
Very
now that
good
we're done
fans
making
of
fun of them, what are you
Bloodborne.
talking about?
Bloodborne.
What?
You didn't hear about the Bloodborne DLC.
Oh yes.
I know.
So
Yes, there's
Bloodborne has
Bloodborne
announced a
DLC.
Oh, no, I knew there
DLC.
was DLC. Did they show it?
Yes, everyone knew that there was going to be DLC, and everyone had like kind of hoped in the back of their mind that they were going to show it off the Tokyo Game Show. They in fact did, and it was really awesome. Evidently, reports are coming out that it was originally they were going to do 2 DLCs, but then they were like, "No, we're just going to do 1 big DLC." New environments, obviously new enemies, a couple of new bosses. It's called The Old Hunters, so those of you who have yet to play Bloodborne and don't want to spoil anything, close your ears for like 10 seconds or whatever. But pretty much, as we all know, there's a bunch of old hunters in the lore. One of them being Ludwig. Ludwig makes an appearance. As well, I'm not going to spoil what appearance he makes, but if you want to watch the trailer, go ahead and see him.
This is that's pretty significant.
New weapons include a short sword that turns into a bow and arrow, a flaming hammer, a whatever. You know the ripsaw thing from Dead Island is that.
There's a buzzsaw.
This is
It's
buzzsaw.
cool.
Chainsaw. I am.
I'm really excited for this
heavily-
flaming hammer.
Yeah.
Heavily approving of every word that you are saying right now, which is an odd phrase, but I give this a 10 out of 10.
It's gonna be some of the best DLC to come out in the past year or so. Other than that, also Gravity Rush has been announced to be re-released for the PS4, which is really, really awesome.
Good game.
So a lot of people are like, "Well, how are you gonna do that? Because you don't have like
Gravity Rush?
the front pad and the back pad." It's like, no. Okay, so those
What's
of you who don't
Gravity
know,
Rush?
Gravity Rush is a fantastic game that came out for the Vita that did not get any critical acclaim because it came out for the Vita. So no one heard about it. Except everyone who had a Vita knew that this was the game. The game is a third-person gravity game. It's very difficult to describe. It's essentially,
Action
I know what it
platformer.
is.
it's an action platformer. You float around, you use gravity, and you float around.
You rush with the gravity.
You rush with the
Or
gravity.
you daze if you're in Japan. It's Gravity
Yeah.
Daze in Japan.
It has a
Look up a
pretty
trailer. It's difficult to describe
Has
visually, but
fantastic art style, actually.
strong
great.
female protagonist.
The soundtrack,
like the
is
majority of the cast
wonderful.
is female. The majority of the important cast is
It's like
female.
a jazzy
Yeah.
soundtrack. Really good.
Good aesthetic.
And so they're redoing it for the PS4, and also they announced a sequel which is going to be co-op and potentially split screen. We don't know yet. We're hoping out. We're hoping for the split screen. Also, even better release news: everything got delayed.
Yeah.
So Star Fox Zero got delayed till 2016. Persona 5 also got delayed till 2016. We still don't have a release date for Final Fantasy 15.
Yep.
Good news. Dark Souls 3 is looking at a April-May release. It's getting released.
I'm not getting my hopes up until they give. I'm not.
They needed a lot more
You know.
gameplay and everything else. That sounds way
Wait.
too early.
I saw this thing on Reddit this morning, actually.
Oh, so the most trustworthy source on the internet. Continue.
Spitting on fire.
Anyways, so I saw a link on the Reddit today that provided a link to the official Dark Souls website, and it said it was like there was a Japan release coming April 12th.
Japan's May March 26th, actually.
Yeah.
Japan's release for Dark Souls 3 is March 26th for the PS4 and Xbox One.
Oh,
We do not know about
the
the PC
PC version is April 12th.
Yeah, I'm
That sounds like when Dark Souls 2 was released.
gonna wait until February to be like, yeah, this is definitely coming out then, because considering the number of games that have gotten delayed 2 months before release, Star Fox Zero.
And Persona.
And
Persona
while
was aiming for a holiday release date. And
they didn't give
kinda
us a
just-
solid release date, so I give them a little more of a dispensation on that. And also, they came out with a really, really amazing trailer, which I highly recommend seeing.
And also a really nice apology for it.
Yeah.
And
Unlike Star
justification.
Fox Zero, that was like, nah, 2016.
What if we get Star Fox Zero and they're like, guys, I know we said we were reimagining the first game, but we really actually just reimagined Star Fox Adventures.
Jesus Christ. That's why there's the Walker.
I'm gonna have to say I don't want that to happen. I like 64 a lot.
Other news related, so Final Fantasy 15, we saw a lot of new mechanics, including fishing and chocobo drifting.
Chocobo drifting.
Chocobo drift.
Sounds like the best thing in Final Fantasy 15 so far.
I'm gonna have to give that one a 10 out of 10 on the title of that because I was actually laughing because all I know is that a chocobo is a bird. And
It's
you
a
use the
bipedal
word-
bird.
You
It's a
use the
giant
word
rooster.
drifting and bird in the same sentence, and you're attempting to have a game. I mean, I don't even know where to go right now, but I really just want to go somewhere where I can drift on birds. All right, that's all I want. From
All I
want to
do is drift a giant parakeet, man.
That sounds so stupid.
If you see the gameplay of it, like it makes sense why they use the term drifting.
Oh, there's gameplay of it?
Yes. We can show you.
What's nice about Final Fantasy 15 is everything they've talked about, they've shown like live gameplay.
Yeah, we'll probably be linking stuff to this via some sort of Tumblr page.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
Well, we're gonna address that at some
Work
point.
in progress.
And then, lastly, of course, the most important news from the Tokyo Game Show is they finally announced you like fighting games. So, Dead or Alive, Extreme 3 Beach Volleyball.
Wow, yeah, I really like the game where it has nothing to do with fighting, and it's entirely fan service and just a bunch of girls in bikinis.
Do you want to know the best part?
I think you're missing the overarching
Probably not.
The
Just
PlayStation
lay it on me.
VR is gonna be
Oh,
compatible.
great!
That's
so
actually-
now it's like first person.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
A note for what Alessandro said: Project Morpheus, which was Sony's
Oculus Rift.
virtual reality program for the PS4, was officially renamed as PlayStation VR, which is an incredibly simple, but also it explains itself very
I
well.
approve.
Well, yeah,
That's
exactly.
title.
Like, you can say PlayStation VR and like you immediately understand what it is.
Yes.
For those of you who don't know what virtual reality is, it's you put some goggles on your face and it makes you feel like you're in the game.
It's really good.
That's a very accurate description. If you're curious at all, you can look up the Oculus Rift. That's a big one in the market right now.
Yeah. There was actually a Times article about
Google Cardboard also
Google
is
Cardboard's
an
a big
interesting take on virtual reality.
The idea is it's going to give you some like depth of field, some 3D to kind of like emulate what your vision would be like.
it. For those of you who are fans of the Wario games back in the day, there was a VR Wario game. For there was like a really old Nintendo VR, wasn't there?
Oh,
Are you talking about the
yeah.
Virtual Boy?
The Virtual Boy, yes. The Virtual Boy.
If you don't know what the Virtual Boy is,
Don't.
basically, look at Oculus Rift now. Take away everything.
20 years of technology.
do SNES polygons, and it only has the color red.
I'm pretty sure it
Yeah.
gave you like brain damage too.
There were numerous health problems with the Virtual Boy.
Excellent.
Yeah,
so
it is
everyone go pick up your
nausea.
Virtual Boy today because it's real good for you.
Oh, if I found a Virtual Boy, I'd play the hell out of that thing.
I gotta say the
Mario
Oculus
Tennis
Rift.
on the Virtual Boy, pretty alright.
Yeah, no, not a bad system. Executed
horrible
very
system.
poorly.
No, horrible system.
Well, I'm sorry, not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. Horrible execution.
The world wasn't ready for the technology.
The
Yeah.
Oculus Rift.
The
if you've
world
seen
was
it,
literally
it's
bleeding
fantastic.
from the eyes
Yeah.
because it was not ready for the technology. Humanity actually hadn't biologically developed to be ready for how awful the Virtual
Yeah,
Boy
to
was.
explain what the Virtual Boy did, the Virtual Boy took basically like this like motor and then attached a pole to it with red LEDs like lined up and down on it, and what it would do is it would spin this pole circularly and then flash the LEDs at certain intervals to give it like this appearance of 3D while still rendering the game. What this ended up happening was it was basically like flashing a giant red strobe light in your eyes for however long you were playing the game, and it gave people seizures.
Also,
It
it's
gave people
basically
who
just.
didn't previously have history of seizures.
Also, it's not like you just plugged this into your TV and went. It was just goggles that came on a tripod, and you just had to like smash your face into the goggles. It
Also,
was
you had to
really
like you
weird.
had to get the viewing angle right, and sometimes
Yeah.
it didn't necessarily always work because the timings would be off. It also chugged electricity, which wasn't
And
really
got
a humongous
overheated,
issue.
to my knowledge,
Yeah.
a lot.
Some of them exploded, so yeah. It
So
was
PlayStation VR is nothing like that.
It's
and,
good that the thing
and of
that
course,
explodes, you hold close to your face.
once we figure out this technology, what's the first thing we do? Of course, is Dead or Alive Extreme 3. And also, for those of you who like The Last Guardian, and speaking of delays, The Last Guardian
Oh.
had zero gameplay at the Tokyo Game Show, but it did have a very interesting PlayStation VR thing.
God.
Define.
No, I'll look it up on my own time.
It's just not worth describing.
It really isn't. Other notes for Final Fantasy 15 include that there will be something similar to limit breaks within the game's combat system, which is, I would argue, a good thing. And whenever it rains, the sunroof on Noctis's car will go up, so it's no longer a convertible.
Well, I mean, it is
The
still a
soft top.
convertible. It's just a convertible with a top.
Yeah, the top will go up when it rains.
Does he
when
have a
you're
T-top?
driving in Final Fantasy 15.
Does he have a
He
T-top?
does not have a T-top.
Okay.
All right, so I think that about covers it for the Tokyo
Also,
Game Show.
Final Fantasy 15 does have a photo mode on the PS4.
I think
A what?
It has a photo mode, which
Oh.
which has been becoming a very popular feature on a lot of PS4 games.
What do you mean in photo mode? Like you upload screenshots?
Yeah, you
No,
can
where you can
take
pause the
pictures
game,
in
take
game.
pictures in the game, put effects on it, things like that. Infamous Second Son has it.
Grand
Last
Theft Auto
Light.
has
The
it.
Last of Us has
of
it.
Us. I'm sorry, did I say Last Light?
GTA 5 has it.
GTA
Well, it has
5
it in game.
has something. Drive Club has one, and Drive Club actually, little note, isn't terrible anymore.
Really?
And-
Well, that got patched a while ago. Though.
Yeah, exactly. It's not terrible anymore for any of you who haven't been paying attention.
Get in the car.
And the photo mode takes literally 10 seconds to go because they add more anti-aliasing and things to the game, so to make it look even prettier.
I think really just the simplest thing to say is that everything is not being released when we thought it was, but God, does mid-2016 look really stacked.
Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly,
Also,
not-
to summarize the last year in general, Sony wins, Microsoft is not doing too hot.
Nintendo's doing whatever they want.
I'm not even
Nintendo's still
there.
being
Yeah,
Nintendo.
Nintendo's-
Nintendo has squids.
Nintendo is still doing Nintendo pretty damn well.
They're fine.
Yeah,
Um,
more Splatoon stuff, right, at TGS?
Yeah, there's a
a
bit.
little bit of stuff.
I mean,
They have some more DLC coming out next month, I believe.
Yeah, the big thing though is that all these delays don't matter too much because Q4 of 2015 was already stacked as it is. We've got Fallout 4 and Just Cause 3 coming up, so it's not like we're going to be bored to any
And a
degree.
Call of Duty game, I'm pretty sure, and Star Wars Battlefront.
Yeah, Battlefront is also coming out. Also, Persona 4 Dancing is a big one. That's very important.
Yes,
Uh,
very important.
There's also an Assassin's
Key
Creed game.
phrases.
Very.
Also, Street Fighter V is a good game, and you should probably play
You
it.
also have Disgaea 5 coming out.
Yeah.
Another note.
Also, another Fire Emblem is in development, if I'm
Yeah.
not mistaken.
Yes,
There's always another Fire Emblem in
Fates.
development.
Well, I mean, it's already out in Japan. They're just translating
Yeah.
it and getting it over here.
The
So that
Witcher-
should be early 2016, hopefully.
What?
The Witcher 3 DLC, Hearts of Stone, was recently announced. That's probably going to be pretty big for anyone who's interested in the Witcher games. And if you aren't interested in the Witcher games, you should be.
Yeah.
Matt really likes The Witcher.
If you like RPGs, it's not for you, but I think most people could probably enjoy those games
Yeah.
a lot.
It's
so.
it's quite good. So,
It's an RPG. Though.
do we want to move on to Chris's
Yes.
topic? All right. So, Chris,
You're finishing us off.
All right. I'm not sure how lengthy my topic will be in comparison to the rest of yours.
Hopefully not. I hate hearing your voice.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. That's a fair
Spitting
point.
hot fire.
Anyways.
we're gonna need to put like a sodium content warning on
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
We're gonna need to censor that because that was pretty brutal. Anyways, what do you want to talk about?
So, I'm not sure how many of you guys are up to date with latest news in hip hop industry, but recently, in the last few months or so, Tyler the Creator, a well-known hip hop kind of figurehead for the rap group Odd Future and his own solo stuff, you know, Tyler the Creator, was banned from the UK. Now, this is the second time Tyler the Creator has been banned from an entire country for
What was the other
his
country?
music. New Zealand, actually.
Oh, wow.
Him and his entire group of Odd Future got banned from New Zealand for the foreseeable future. I'm not sure exactly how long. I think in the UK he's banned for the next 5 to 7 years.
Why
depending
did
on-
they ban?
Yeah, that's
Now-
what I'm wondering.
Okay, so you guys probably haven't listened to a lot of Tyler the Creator, but he raps about some very controversial topics, and his lyrics aren't necessarily politically correct. Like, he uses the N-word a lot. He's constantly using the term fag and using it to describe people very openly, and he talks about, like, he doesn't even like try to hide who he's talking about a lot. Like, there's a line in one of his songs about him stabbing Bob in the neck while calling him multiple names. And here's the thing about it. Tyler the Creator is while he is a very vulgar artist, he's also, I believe, to be one of the most genius and influential artists of our time. Now, the reason, of course, being that he takes things to a whole nother level. Like, he has this persona of his rap career, and he did 3 albums. Well, he's done 4 albums in total, his latest being Death Camp, but his first 3 albums were Bastard, Yonkers, no, I'm sorry, Goblin. Yonkers is the track of Goblin. So he has Bastard, Goblin, and Wolf, which are in themselves a trilogy, and each one of them is a concept album of a grander scheme, which is a really interesting story. And he talks a lot about his father, who left him when he was young, and he talks about how he's famous, and he's like, I'm 21 years old and I have a mortgage and I don't have to pay for anything. This is messed up. Like, why do I have this and so many people don't? And in between this whole idea of like, man, you know, it goes from I'm very sad to life is crazy and I'm messed up and people want to buy this stuff, so I'm gonna make it into now I'm famous and I hate it because I just want to be a regular guy and I can't do that anymore, and people I know and love are dying and I'm not allowed to be with them because I have to tour for money, because I have to pay for my family to do things. And now, so people don't take into account Tyler the Creator's whole albums when they try to label him as a bad artist. They only look at the handful of songs that are extremely vulgar and talk about rape and abuse and use demeaning language and things. Yes, Matt.
Can I just say that these specific vulgar songs with talking about rape and things like that aren't helping his image at all?
No, they absolutely are not. And I would agree with you on that part. But the whole point of Tyler the Creator is that, you know, he's not very serious when he's doing that. Like, when he first started to make music, he didn't do it to fit an image. Like, he just made music because it was silly and like he enjoyed doing it. He doesn't go out of his way to offend people. He makes the music that he always enjoyed making, and he does it now because people are offended by it and he thinks it's funny, partially. Yes, Josh.
What I want to ask is that the reason why he was banned?
No, the reason he was banned was because I'm gonna
because that's
put
the important part for me to understand the story.
The reason I think Tyler the Creator was banned, I'm gonna borrow Anthony Fantano's take on it. If you don't know who Anthony Fantano is, he's a man who reviews albums and talks about like ideas in the music industry. And so he basically explains that it's a form of censorship done by people to limit freedom of speech because they believe that freedom of speech, as soon as it offends them, nobody should have it. It's basically the kind of people that are like, do what you want, but if you offend me and I don't like what you're doing, then I don't want you to do it, you know? And that's the reason why Tyler the Creator is banned from these countries, because people that say, I don't like what he's doing, nobody should like what he's doing, we don't want him here, so nobody should want him here.
Well, I would say, seeing as, you know, you said that he makes these things because it's fun, and he's having a good time with his music. If he thinks that making jokes about rape is fun, then he's being a dick.
It's not...
I'm sorry. He's being a dick. Even if he thinks it's funny himself, he needs to understand that there will people who will be offended.
Yes.
That is a very rude thing to do.
Yes, you are
correct.
correct.
So it's one thing, it's a...
I don't think that's grounds to ban someone from a country.
You can have freedom of speech,
country.
and you can have freedom of speech, and you can say what you want.
Yes.
But to knowingly say something that will offend people, and especially on such a vocal and like such a stage where he is, because he's a celebrity and like he's known, to do that and to think that it's still funny is a very callous thing to do.
I'm agreeing with you. To be fair, there is only one song that mentions rape. It's called Tromcat. It's off his album Goblin.
Okay.
Give it a listen, because it starts with, you know, Tyler the Creator first started, it was his first album, Bastard, is very depressive music. It's like talking about how much he hates himself and how much he wishes he was better at what he did so he could make like money for his family and everything, which is a beautiful thing. And then, you know, it's like there are parts of it that are like just psychologically strange, that are just like, okay, like I can tell you're messed up in the head, like emotionally. And then because of that album, Bastard, he got famous. So what ends up happening is that the record company behind him gave him push to be more messed up in the head, so that he would, you know, gain a bigger following and be like, oh, look at this, he's being different and everything, which is partially of it.
It's publicity. It's a publicity song. Excuse me.
A lot of Tyler the Creator's stuff from Goblin is the definition of a publicity stunt, but also
it's self-aware from the
sound. It's also very self-aware. And then you take Wolf into account, and Wolf is a much different album from Goblin, where he is mainly talking about how much he hates the fact that he's famous, and he only does it now for his family because he has to take care of his family, and he doesn't know what else he has to do because he cares about them so much. And actually, the last track on the album is about him going to the hospital and seeing his grandmother die in front of him. And it's all about how he was going to a show that night to make money to pay for her medical bills. And I think it's the point I'm trying to make here is very important that you shouldn't ban a musical artist from an entire country just because a handful of people don't necessarily agree with some of their songs. And I can see
Did they cite which songs?
I agree.
I have a source here from The Guardian. He was sent a letter from the Secretary of State of the Home Department of the United Kingdom. And there's a couple highlights in the letters, but it mostly cites a lot of lyrics that he wrote 6 to 7 years ago for his albums Bastard and Goblin. Types of lyrics he hasn't really written since, I will say that.
Has not really done that.
To finish what I'm saying here, he's been 3 to 5 years. He's been to the UK also over 20 times since. So this isn't he hasn't been there and he's starting to go there and they're like, no, you're not welcome here. It's he's been there and it's just all of a sudden they're kind of just no. In fact, one of the big things is that last month they rented out a movie theater and I think Reed's to show Napoleon Dynamite to his fans. Literally last month. So he's been there literally within the last month. And then they canceled his shows. But let's see, the things they specifically highlight are
his work from Troncat.
His works encouraging violence and the intolerance of homosexuality. It fosters hatred with views that seek to provoke others to terrorist acts. And there's also the let's see. There's his line from Bastard where you call this shit rape, but I think that rape's fun, as well as references to raping Goldilocks and committing suicide. And let's see, there's one from his concert in Glastonbury that he played in 2013 where, let's see if I can find the exact quote. And I know that this is obviously very explicit, as this whole segment has been. He's quoted saying, "She could hear me call her a bitch too. Yeah, I got a sold out show right now, bitch. Hey, this song's dedicated to you, you." So they're saying also that his view towards women is extremely horrible.
No.
Okay, well, the thing is that you're literally, this guy is being banned because he's famous for saying these things, whereas there are so many people who have this exact same view, if not worse, that are not banned. And it's kind of stupid and unfair to deny an entire country from him and going to see his stuff with such radical views because he's famous. That is literally the only reason why he is getting banned. There are so many other people who will bring such awful hate speech to a country and will still be able to say this stuff in front of people and they won't get banned.
And they'll say it seriously as a means of encouraging people.
Too.
He addresses all of these issues in his album Wolf too, and you never hear anybody talk about, well, he talks about why he says these things in this album. You never hear people bring up that. They only point out the things that they want to use against him.
He also can go back on what he said, but that might not mean that he means what
it's true.
He's saying.
It's more the things about he has the image that he keeps up, and he does use the term fag a lot, and I'll admit that, and maybe that's not correct of him, but
it's not. It's not. It is not correct of him.
You're right. It's not. Okay.
It's not okay to say things like that.
No,
but this is.
It's not okay for him to be banned from a country.
He makes an interesting point in his song Rusty, and it's all about. Look at that article that says my subject matter is wrong, saying I hate gays even though Frank is on 10 of my songs. Look at that mom who had the grudge against me, though I'm the reason that her son got to eat. Look at the kid who tried to blow out his mind. I guess talk is money, I guess. I said hi, I guess I bought him some time. It's the fact that because he takes a messed up approach to his rap, that he seems slightly more relatable to some people and can actually do some good. But also, at the same time, he says things that are demeaning to gays, but also Frank Ocean, a very well-renowned African-American artist who is also gay, was the first. He told Tyler the Creator first that he was gay, And Tyler was like, yes, absolutely, we should, yes. Like, Frank, that's not going to change the fact that you're one of my, like, best friends. Like, they still collaborate well together, despite the fact that Tyler has this image about him.
I mean, I think just the issue is how far-reaching back it is. They're kind of like, they're putting him up on the cross, and just.
And if you even listen to, he released an album this summer, in fact, called Death Camp. If you listen to Death Camp, you will literally just say, "Is this even Tyler?" It's such a drastic change in albums that
it's 6 to 7 years ago, and they're putting him up on the cross and stoning him for stuff that, like, without acknowledging any sort of growth he could have had in between.
Which is what a lot of media does, but it's.
I mean, granted is
I'm wondering
because
why.
it's the mentality of people being like, I don't like this. Nobody should like this. But I don't think anybody should be allowed to like this.
But then who's the person who's doing that? That's my question, because it has to be a series of higher ups that have to decide this. And people getting a ban from an entire country is ridiculous for
singing.
hate speech.
Yeah.
It's stupid. It's downright outrageous. And he's such a popular artist right now. Like, literally everyone has heard of Tyler, the Creator from our generation.
You're hurting your economy by doing this.
I don't know about that.
Well, I mean, Tyler the
very
Creator,
minorly, but
as somebody that has seen Tyler the Creator live in concert, I will tell you, tickets for Tyler the Creator are upwards of $100. And if you have,
Didn't you know that most of that is going to Ticketmaster or something else? So it doesn't really matter.
That's more to the point, though. You're still denying a huge group of people
like,
from ever getting a chance.
if it's
to see
a
They'll probably
venue
just
that
book
seats
someone
at
else.
least
They'll book someone else at the venue.
500
but
plus
they
people.
won't book Tyler the Creator
They'll
because he's
book
banned from
someone
their
else.
country.
they're not losing money.
They
No,
are.
they're
I'm
not. No, it's more.
But we're
just
talking
the
about
fact
the
that
fact that, like, this is suppression of art.
Artistically, although
It would be like, it would almost be one thing if this was like a guy who like went and did like public speaking events that were just hate speech, but that's not
here's
what
the
he
thing.
does.
We're looking at this from a very American point of view. I don't think any of us technically know.
We don't know the UK
We don't know the
perspective.
exact laws and rules.
No, we're Americans. We know what's best for the rest of the world.
Yes,
you remember?
I have
But
to,
we don't know the exact rules and laws for
I mean,
the United Kingdom and
the article says that
their feelings towards these things.
The article says that the Home Secretary has the power to exclude an individual if he or she considers that his or her presence in the UK is not conducted to the public good,
There you go.
or if their exclusion is justified on public policy grounds. It also says that the Home Office does not comment on individual cases where a person is refused entry.
That's reason
In a
enough.
terse statement, a spokesperson said, in general about the whole thing, not specifically about Tyler the Creator, but I guess somebody asked her and they kind of just like made a statement, not directly, but something about it, that says coming to the UK is a privilege. We expect those to come here to respect our shared values. So basically, I think what they're doing is
I feel
they're
like
looking at Tyler the Creator's work and they're looking at what he's going to say at the concert, most definitely. Whether he believes that or not, he's going to perform those songs and say that at the concert. And I think they're thinking that this is not the values that we as a country look to uphold.
I feel like
and
one
we don't
person
want that
can't speak
doing
on
that.
behalf of an entire country.
Well, the BBC.
It's not talking about an entire country. It's saying you're coming here as a privilege, and we don't like the person you are and what you're going to say here, so you're not welcome.
Yeah, we don't like what you're representing, and even if you don't like what you're representing, that doesn't matter because you're still representing it.
I still think it's very odd.
yeah.
Alessandro, you put it in a term which is gonna make me stick with my opinion, and it is the fact that it is a suppression of art, not really speech at this point, because it is still music nonetheless.
I would agree.
We're gonna have an odd future.
Oh,
Jesus.
Speaking of which, it's not only Tyler the Creator banned from New Zealand, it's all of Odd Future.
okay, about the New Zealand thing, you should be very aware of the fact that New Zealand
Oh, no.
and Australia
I am
together are the most overly sensitive country.
They also have a
Overly
very
censored
they have a very good reason for actually not wanting them back. It involves them maybe inciting some riots, but that was by
By
accident.
maybe you mean they did.
Okay, that's a little more
That's
reasonable.
that's New Zealand and
So-
Australia, not the UK. Is
I have
a whole different.
I have
issue.
one note about the UK, which it doesn't technically pertain to concerts and Tyler the Creator. In the UK, the BBC and all of their media is like state governed in the sense that like they have a mission by the state to like produce things that are culturally like, important.
Okay.
And if they see someone such as Tyler the Creator going against what they believe, like they as a country believe is culturally important and like socially
They as a
important,
government of a country.
that's what I mean. Like they as the government don't see him as being like upholding, you know,
I
their
get
society,
what you're
their
saying.
view on what society
Yeah.
should be, you know, being inclusive to gays, being, you know, not dickish about rape in a single song, you know, things like that. Like, it's understandable as a government for them to want to do that, although it is still, at the end of the day, a, you know,
Gross abuse of
it's-
censorship.
Yes, and they're suppressing free speech.
To give some like perspective, Busta Rhymes and Snoop Dogg have also been banned from the UK.
Have they?
Snoop Dogg?
Yeah, because of
Whoa.
convictions for criminal offenses.
Oh, well,
See?
okay, that actually
So,
makes
That's
sense.
still
then.
different,
give-
though.
That's
Yeah,
way
it
different.
is different, but I'm
But
saying
that's
that
a really
Tyler,
like,
the Creator, also
weird
does
thing.
not do drugs. Does not drink.
As
no,
far
Tyler,
as
the Creator
you know.
is very no. He's straight edge.
as far as you know. Again, these are images purported by the media and by, you know, his publicity team and himself.
This is true, but I mean,
But those are images, like, being straight edge is an image that's
Even from
very
his
hard to maintain considering the paparazzi culture.
I also
Even
have
from
to
when
ask,
Tyler the Creator put
what's
out
the
EPs
point?
and
Yeah.
Bastard before he was signed, he made a point to say, I do not do drugs. Like, it's not for me. That's a huge point of his, like, his
think-
whole spiel.
And,
Again, also, what is the
moral?
point of not doing drugs and drinking? Because honestly, it's a thing to talk about, and also so many other artists do it that it's not going to even make a blip on the radar.
I don't know, but that's a face that says, I've probably done at least one drug in my life.
No, he's just
Let me see.
really that weird. Like,
No, that actually, I don't know. That seems like
I
he
don't know.
has face.
he has
His
album covers
his
of him
physics-
holding
I
his
know.
inhaler like it's like a gift from God. Like,
The
he
image that
actually...
he puts out is very much so someone that is not,
Yeah.
like,
I understand
Terribly-
entirly what you mean.
educated, maybe?
Yeah. I
Which is
understand. He's
understandable,
actually
but...
really
Yeah.
smart too.
Like-
Like, he does live sessions of him playing piano with Bad Bad Not Good, a jazz band that I am a
Yeah.
favorite of, and he's
That
actually
I know is pretty cool.
really musically talented.
Just the
aside
image
from
that
his
he
rap.
produces in the media is very much so one of
Yeah. And
lower
that's-
class, which is because that's what he's trying
he
to
is. He
talk
is.
to.
No, he is lower class.
I mean,
He
No, he
grew
isn't.
up. He grew up lower.
He is
class.
not lower class right now.
No, not anymore.
no,
And that's what Wolf. That's what Wolf is about.
Yeah. It's just that that's the image that he's trying to purport in the media because that's what he wants to appeal to.
That's what he has been for most of
I
his
think,
life.
Yes.
I think at the end of the day, the UK has this policy that they're upholding, and it exists, and it's pretty cut and dry, and it's not as if they're making an exception for Tyler the Creator and saying, we're keeping you out of our country. This is a policy that existed for many a time, has excluded many a person, and this isn't any different from that. And as much as we can look at it from, you know, the educated perspective, as much as you can look
Or
at
just
it, Chris,
our
from the
point
point
of
of a fan
The
that
American
knows Tyler
free
the
speech
Creator,
perspective.
Yeah.
and look at it and look at the sides and be like, Tyler the Creator's actually like this, he's doing an alter ego. The songs that he presents and the lyrics that he presents is what comes out first and what hits people first.
I
And
understand where
that's the
they're coming
issue that
from.
they come from. And I'm not saying that's right, but
Well, I see.
that's how it is, sadly.
It makes a lot of sense why Tyler the Creator's it gets banned, considering those policies are there. I just think those policies are BS.
Yes,
I
that's
agree
what I'm
with
saying. I think it's unfair to censorship art just because some people might be offended by it, because that's what real life is. You're going to get offended by things on a daily basis, and you need to learn how to deal with that. And just because you get offended by something doesn't mean nobody is allowed to enjoy it.
I think
And
it's
okay, so
I think it's less that they're offended by it and more that they believe that because of, you know, the feelings that he puts out in his songs about, you know, rape and, you know, his hatred against homosexuals, at least that is shown, is very much so something that will make his fans kind of continue like on with that image. Like, even if he doesn't believe that, because that's what he's putting out in his lyrics, his fans will kind of grab onto that and will continue to put, you know, kind of put down on homosexuals and, you know,
And that's
will continue to perpetuate rape culture.
And that's an issue that I would leave up to the individual to decide, because it's
Obviously.
a lot like the controversy that came with, you know, Eminem and Dr. Dre and all that thing. Is, you know, 10 years ago they said these things, and they got away with some of it, and some of it they didn't get away with.
Yeah.
And you know that it's the media. People are always going to put down on hip hop artists that have controversial lyrics because they think
Or
that
just artists.
artists
Doesn't have
well,
to just be hip hop.
yeah, you're right. Artists, in
Controversial
general,
artists.
It's more, but you have to agree that hip hop artists do get a lot more coverage.
That's because they also do it a lot more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. But the media will put down on artists with controversial lyrics and say that their fans are young and susceptible, and I feel like you can't really say that because that's a case by case basis. You can't say like people try to make the claim that Marilyn Manson was the reason for Columbine when in reality, Marilyn Manson actually just found a market for music that nobody else had found yet, did it, and they just happened to be fans of it and also socially tortured at school. Marilyn Manson isn't the reason for Columbine, just like Tyler, the Creator, isn't the reason for somebody going out and raping somebody.
We aren't saying that at all. It's just that because of his stance that is put out in the lyrics, he's perpetuating these things happening instead of, trying to maybe not combat. But he's not.
I don't think there's enough evidence.
Are you saying
for
that
either
because
point.
he's not combating the problem, he's part of the problem, sort of?
Arguably, but it's more of the fact that because the stance that he's putting out is seeing these things like
I think I get what you're saying. Your point is more so that as much as it's an alter ego and a character he's playing,
Some
there's
people
gonna
don't
be
understand the
people-
difference between
Yes.
art and reality.
and because
But
of that, there are
that
people
comes
that
in
will-
with everything.
Yeah,
Comic
it really
books,
does come
video
with
games,
everything.
films,
It comes with
and those
everything.
things aren't
You're not
censored.
going to be able to avoid that because unless we're all a bunch of censored idiots and we can't make any points at all, you're still going to get people like that who can't differentiate. I think blaming Tyler, the Creator, for doing this is a very silly thing. Banning him is a very silly thing overall. I understand why. It's not cool to talk about this stuff, and it's not okay to make these points and think that rape is okay and be sexist and push these kinds of hate terms and stuff like that. But on the other hand, you have to just look at it as he literally got banned from an entire country for saying things in songs, whereas the
That
other
are
people who have been
many
banned
years
have
old.
committed actual crimes and stuff, and that is so very, very different.
And
on that note,
we are going to wrap up. So, of course, we all know the sign off that we planned.
I think we should also have closing comments.
and that closing comments for the entire podcast.
we should say our own little thing.
Closing comments.
So-
One Punch Man, good. Tyler, the Creator, interesting artist. Maybe talks about controversial issues. Mad Max Fury of the Road, really good movie.
Fury of the Road is a very good movie. That
One of my
doesn't exist.
favorite
Fury Road is
Grizzly
great, though.
films.
Chris
Fury
will
of the Road.
very much mess up many names in this podcast, and it's going to be funny.
So watch the anime that we've been talking about among music artists. Do you have anyone you want to recommend, or do you just think that Jack White is just the best thing?
I'm recommending Jack White, and although I didn't talk about him, Lou Reed from the Velvet Underground.
And check out the new Disturbed album because that's
Yeah, the
out
new
in
Disturbed
July.
album.
Definitely.
Also
You
have
like Disturbed. You're probably gonna like that.
I have one other thing to say. This is talking about Mad Max Fury Road. Colin Gibson, the production designer, when designing their cars, this is a direct quote from him. Hold on one moment. Just because it's an 18-wheeler driving through a sand dune at 45 degrees, that's not an excuse to slow down.
It's a great movie. Please give it a watch. Honestly, guys, it's guys and girls. It is one hell of a ride.
Guys, girls, and other.
Closing comments. I like the fact that Fury Road is just it's adrenaline. Just watch it. Everything's delayed. It's fun. It's gonna be good.
Play Bloodborne.
Play Bloodborne. Actually, though.
Play Dark Souls 1, 2, play Bloodborne, play Demon Souls.
Really, if you haven't listened to Dave Grohl, also do that while you're doing all
Dave
these
Grohl's in a
other
punk
things.
band with the original basis of Black Flag.
We hope you all enjoyed yourselves. This has been Mixed Nuts. I am Chad DeAngelis.
I'm Alessandro.
Matt Leonard.
Josh Upton.
Chris.
And we'll see you next time.